Podmortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is an independent production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is proud to be a WGA signatory company, and they fully stand by the WGA, SAG, and their members in their fight for extremely reasonable standards. Accordingly, they are not accepting script or treatment submissions at this time, but both William and Xxena Rush are available via email, free of charge, to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers. Their information will be made available in the show notes. Ahead of the strike, William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Coffee with Baba, Day by Day, They Slay, Before, Pack is Here, Abiquiu, The Winemaker, and Where Do You Draw the Line?
2 feature films, Group and Immersion, are slated for release this fall. Absolutely no picket lines will be crossed, and no collective bargaining agreements will be violated in the making of either of these films. And very generously, Original Cinematic is providing all Podmortem patrons with a special link to view these films. If arrangements can be made, they will even schedule a virtual or in-person screening for our patrons. We cannot thank Original Cinematic enough for their contribution to our show and the horror community as a whole. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Salutations! Welcome to Podmortem. I'm Travis Hunter, joined as always by my co-hosts, my sister, and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from Club de la Lune, discussing the 1997 comedy horror film, An American Werewolf in Paris. This film was directed by Anthony Waller from a screenplay by Waller, Tim Burns, and Tom Stern, with characters created by John Landis. Serving as a semi-sequel to Landis' 1981 horror classic, An American Werewolf in London, An American Werewolf in Paris borrows lore and offers a tangential connection to its predecessor with a sharper shift in tone towards comedy. Despite its best efforts, critics and audiences panned the film for its inability to live up to the classic that came before it. So, An American Werewolf in Paris. What were your first impressions on the film?
I remember watching this in my early teens. I don't think I seen it in the theater, but I remember watching it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
I was young and I knew the movie. Something was wrong. Something wasn't right. I had seen the original a couple times already, and it did make a lasting impression of how good it is.
Yeah.
This movie made a lasting impression because of the other way it goes. And I love comedy horror.
Right.
But this is I don't know if I can even put the comedy, like, I don't know how I know
baffling.
I know there's comedy there. I understand some of it, but the movie's just it feels very weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's tonal shifts or if it's we talked about this. I can't remember if it was the other day or earlier. For me, it feels like the movie is a bunch of skits put together.
Okay.
Yes.
Like it's just like a bunch of SNL skits, but like, oh, this kind of makes sense. Let's put these back to back in one long clip.
Mm-hmm. But not like heyday SNL.
No.
Like,
Not SNL. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect SNL like that and compare it to what's going on here. Or compare this to that. But yeah, the movie was just, I knew then, and then watching it for the show, I still was like, oh, wow, that was, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like, you have all the right things to making a sequel for an American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm.
This was not what should have happened.
So I'd never seen it before.
Mhm.
This was my first time watching it. And the thing that you neglected to mention,
I was gonna
is that-
say.
yeah, this is your birthday pick.
It is. But hey, in all fairness, I warned you guys. I didn't say it was
You
good.
did.
You did warn us,
So
but
I'll be completely honest. I've heard that this is bad.
Mhm.
But there were a few things where I was like, okay, this is either going to come out the other side to so bad it's good.
No.
Or I've been known
Yeah.
to dabble in some trash. I really thought I was going to walk away from this with something.
Right.
I mean, for numerous reasons. A, the fact that you picked it for your birthday movie. B, the fact that I was kicking and screaming to watch London and I loved it.
yeah.
yeah,
And this is the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
kind of.
Yeah.
I'm saying I've never seen it before. This is my thought process.
Right.
Yeah.
Compounded with the fact that you used the term to describe it MTV movie.
Right,
and
right.
that is how you described The Faculty.
Right.
And I know that The Faculty, you do not love it the way that I love it, but I love it with my entire heart. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be fun.
Hold on, wait a minute. You told us that it wasn't good, but you did tell us that it was like an MTV movie, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like The Faculty, and you said, so I think you guys might like it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
So, yeah.
So now I'm insulted.
Well, I mean,
And I'll be honest, I'll point it out when we get there. There's a part near the beginning where it's extremely 90s.
Yes.
Yeah.
We cut from like this kind of cold open, and then there's the music, and then there's these three very 90s dudes sitting there, and I was like, I am so fucking excited. Like I was you had to try to fuck it up for me at that point. I was so on board, and I mean, I don't even think that disappointed is the right word.
right.
I'm just like confused.
Well, I think for me, I know how bad this is and I can't get it out of my head. So I must spread this.
Wow.
It's just funny
So-
too because we agonized over our picks for our birthdays, and you were
Yeah.
just like, I think I want to do an American Werewolf in Paris, and we were like, really? Yeah, okay. And then when we came time to do the September schedule, no, I said American Werewolf in oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And then watching it, he was like, well, if I had to, we all need to experience this. I was like, you just really went the other way with it. And I got to tell you, I respect it.
I haven't heard anyone
No.
trash this movie in a long time. So I think it's time it came back.
That's your birthday present.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, it is just, it's wild. There were moments where I was like, surely, like, did I miss something? Because I think that you put it perfectly saying the skits, especially toward the beginning when we're kind of moving toward, I guess we're calling it the plot, like moving
Yeah.
toward, you know, the rising action, as it were. I feel like we're just being dropped into random scenes. Like that's what it felt like for a while. And it's like, okay, we're on the Eiffel Tower now. Okay, it's nighttime now. Oh, I guess it's the next day. Like, it's just, oh, okay. It is just this is wild.
And no pun intended, because there's an animal.
Yeah.
It is, as you said, very, very 1990s. Usually that's a positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was kind of shocked. But as you said, I really only knew of this by its reputation. Never watched it in my life.
Right.
I don't even think I've seen clips from it.
No,
Really?
I had it.
Yeah, I knew nothing of this.
Okay.
And so it has honestly been it's been a long time since I've disliked a film so strongly. But I think the thing for me that makes it difficult,
Yeah.
I always try to find something that I enjoy about even the films that I don't like.
Right.
And I really struggled here.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is that I know that this is bound to be somebody's absolute favorite film.
For sure.
And
Somewhere.
so, yeah.
Yeah. No, it is.
It is. And so I one thing I do want to say is that I can see, depending on when somebody watched it, it could be a very nostalgic film for them.
Right.
And could find enjoyment of it in simply reminding them of a certain time in their life. Having never, ever seen any part of this before and watching it for the first time for the show,
Yeah.
I am just...
Yeah.
I really wanted, because I was the same thing. When you hear something so much about a film, about how terrible it is or whatever, you want to watch it for yourself.
Yeah.
You want to form your own opinion and see, it can't be that bad. For me, it was.
Yeah.
No, it was that bad.
And thing I will say, I like the European locations.
Yes.
I love Julie Delpy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll explain more why a little bit later. But yikes.
Yeah. I wanted to know, and I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and this has a 7% on the tomato meter and 30% on the audience score. Like, the movie is not great. I mean, a lot of people, I think, feel the same way. I do, real quick, I watched a video, a YouTube channel. It's Wolfman's Got Nards. And he said he wanted to kind of try to defend it.
Okay.
And he said that if you really look at it side by side, this movie follows the original beat by beat with comedy. And I was like, what? I haven't seen the original since we covered it. And this one, we just researched it, so it's a little fresher. But I was like, I don't know how true that is. And he's like, dude, I think the jokes land in here. And I'm like, really?
A couple of them?
I mean, a couple. But
I'm like, all right, that one I'll give you.
Yeah.
But the fact that I have to be like, okay, there's one. that one worked. And just the fact that, I mean, as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, this is all going to be worth it when somebody transforms.
Yes.
Right.
This is all going to be worth it because, I mean, what do you think of when you think of an American Werewolf in London?
The transformation.
Yes.
That's what you think of. So just the fact, like, if this was its own little cheesy horror comedy from the 90s about fucking werewolves, great. This could have been, a so bad it's good, cheese, throw it on, we're all going to laugh at it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you took an American Werewolf in,
Yes.
Yeah.
and this is what you did,
No,
I think
yeah.
that's why I was like...
You know what it is? It's a sheep in wolf's clothing.
Exactly.
I honestly, and the thing is doing research for it, you see all of the different iterations that it went through before it became what it became.
Yeah.
And it's kind of upsetting that we didn't get a lot of the things that we could have.
Isn't it always?
Yeah.
Always. I read in Fangoria and Bloody Disgusting that in 1991, John Landis was approached by Polygon to write and direct a sequel to London. And he was going to, and this is where you're probably going to get upset.
Oh, no.
He was going to include everyone from the first film.
Okay.
And the main character was going to be a woman called Debbie Klein, who is referenced in the first scene of the film as this girl that Jack was crushing on.
Oh, okay.
And she was going to come to research what happened to her friends.
Oh, all right.
And there was going to be a twist ending where someone from the first film would be revealed to be the werewolf who started it all.
Oh, okay.
And it was going to be very interesting, especially because one thing that they do in this film is the addition of spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people would return from the first film as spirits. And so you have the full main cast of the first film.
Okay.
The problem is Polygon hated the script. And so it died in the water right there.
Yeah.
And so that was the first sequel that we would have gotten.
That is infuriating because, I mean, we have our thoughts and opinions and comments on John Landis, and
Yeah.
we have gone over it and over it. There's no need to do it again for a movie that he did not do that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
But he can write. Okay? Just let him cook. I mean, I don't know. It's
And his balance of horror and comedy in London was more my speed.
Yeah.
It's effective.
Yeah.
Because you have these moments of comedy, but there's really sobering moments of,
Yeah.
mortality and fucking like.
Jesus Christ. Wait, you have to walk the world forever? But so that was the end of his involvement.
Right.
And then it went to John Lafia, who I believe co-wrote Child's Play and Child's Play 2.
Okay.
And he was going to do a version of it, and then that got dropped. Then it goes to Tim Burns and Tom Stern,
Okay.
who did a little film called Freaked.
All right. And then what happened now?
Now, so you will have noticed that I did credit them as writers on this film.
Right.
Because what happened is they wrote their script, and they were even getting people from like Jurassic Park involved.
Oh, shit.
They were going to get Phil Tippett, who did, we talked about him a lot on Jurassic
Yes.
Park.
Yeah.
They were going to get him, and they were going to get Tony Gardner, who was a protege of Rick Baker.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
And their plan was to do those styles of makeups for the close-ups,
Yeah.
and then figure out a way, much like Jurassic Park, where we use some CG for the faraway shots.
Yeah.
Where a wolf can move on screen unlike they ever have
Yeah.
on screen.
I'm devastated.
But here's the problem. After they finished their script, the producers loved it so much that they told them that basically they weren't good enough to direct it.
What the fuck?
Yes.
But they did it.
Oh
Why
my-
would you?
What a like fuck you / thank you.
I don't even understand.
Yeah.
What?
They said what it was is the budget it would take to do this. We don't trust you with it. And so that was the end of their involvement in the project, but they did maintain the script.
So they saw Freaked. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Hey, that movie's wild as fuck.
It's like, I'm not going to make any excuses.
It's not this bad, but
Right.
it's
No.
I've never seen Freaked,
It's its own thing.
but they said that they wanted somebody who had done more than one film to do this.
okay.
Wow.
And so it goes through so many different writers, so much so that they had to have arbitration to determine who gets credit for it,
What the fuck?
which I think is they read in an interview is only done if it has like a certain number of people who claim to have written on it.
Damn.
The fact that there's this
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when Anthony Waller comes on board and he rewrites the script. And so there are parts that are maintained, but the majority of it is unrecognizable from Stern and Burns.
I was gonna say, so what was served to us is no longer the Freaked guys.
No. And
Yeah. That.
there is even the flat out the setup of how these people even get to Paris
Oh my god.
or what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Completely different. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. But after he rewrites it, it becomes his project then. And the thing that I learned that upset me so greatly as far as what we see on film in regards to the special effects. American Werewolf in London, when adjusted for inflation, when we're talking about the budget,
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
was still less than half of the budget of this film.
Okay.
And we see what we got on screen for an American Werewolf in London.
Right.
Where'd that money go?
Yeah. Somebody redid their kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shit.
I can't
Built a moat or some
I
shit.
can't believe this.
Now, before we sink our teeth into this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's howl at the moon. So the film opens on a shot of the moon, high in the night sky among the clouds. I was very surprised that it wasn't a full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I think, a waxing gibbous, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But after watching the film, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I allowed it
Okay.
because I'm the arbiter.
And I was like, you were like,
But we dip from the clouds, thunder crackling and lightning flashing, to settle on a shot of the city lights of Paris, France. The Eiffel Tower stands triumphant in the distance as rain descends, and the camera follows the rain down the gargoyle sculptures of the roof of a church. After following the flow of water off of the roof, we abruptly get the title, American Werewolf in Paris. Now, this is where I realize we might be in trouble.
Yeah.
When you don't even get the title of your movie correct. I don't know the story behind it, but they forgot the Anne.
Yeah.
Anne American Werewolf in Paris.
yeah.
They're like, it's just American.
Well, it's
Like,
all right.
You
Yeah.
know what you're here for.
Let's make with the werewolf. But the opening credits continue as we glide across the stone structures and ornate decorations of Gothic architecture, finally reaching the street level and setting our sights on a manhole cover. It suddenly moves, and we see the hands of Dr. Thierry Pigot, played by Thierry Lhermitte, opening it from below. He climbs out of it rough and dirty, his white lab coat flowing as he runs through the rain and attempts to hail a taxi.
The music is working overtime.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I will say it there. Now, I actually enjoy the score.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a moment later that's like, is this Final Fantasy?
Yeah. No, there's
It doesn't
a few
fit
times.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is confusing at times.
But in a beautiful theater nearby, an orchestra performs a frantic symphonic composition, their performance acting as a soundtrack for Pigault's mad dash to a parked taxi. The uncredited taxi driver takes notice of Pigault calling out to him, but as Pigault runs across a metal grate, something follows his every step from below. It has kind of like almost like infrared vision or something.
Yeah.
Or
Just go with it. Just roll with it.
All right. But before he can make it across, the grates fling open, tripping Pigault to the ground. The taxi driver exits his car and rushes over to help, and after reaching for him and attempting to pull him to safety, the grates open again and the driver falls back in terror. He immediately runs away.
So he said, "Don't dream about me no more, kid."
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, is he going to go tell anyone?
No. It's like,
He got away.
Yeah, well, his shift's still going.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
I got to pick somebody.
yeah, we got fares, man. But he leaves Pigault to fend for himself. We cut back and forth between the rising crescendo of the orchestra and Pigault screaming wildly for his life. As the song reaches its end and the audience applauds the performers, Pigault is dragged below by a growling, unseen force, and we fade to black. Now, I don't mind this,
No.
No.
and I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that the force is unseen.
Yeah.
I
Should've.
Yeah. I'll keep my comments.
Well, it is a lot, but
once in my
it's
life.
keeping with what the title of the movie is.
Yes.
We, like you said, we don't know what the creature is. We don't see anything. We just get an opening like, oh, okay, it's a creature feature.
Yeah.
Or what, you know what I mean? Let's see where it's going. I the same thing. I was like, oh, okay, this is a nice little opening. I was like, I'm not mad.
It's
yet.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine so far.
And I even like the frantic cuts back and forth between the orchestra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it works as far as building the suspense of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know what JP's talking about yet.
Yeah, this is fine.
But one thing I will say is that Reneé had mentioned a behind-the-scenes featurette where the director discussed how this opening set the tone for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot disagree more.
Yeah. I think John Paul and I were watching that the other day, and he was like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
It sets the tone if it's going to be a little more horror-based.
Right.
Yeah, because and there are kind of like harrowing scenes later on where shit is, down to the wire or whatever. But I think that this is the scariest right here that this movie gets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because any other moment of horror later on, it's almost always undercut by comedy.
It is, and it's also their bold choices towards how they display this horror
Yeah.
is it's distracting.
Yeah.
So I will say, and I know how shady this sounds, and I'm not saying that I don't mean it this way because I do, but it is more effective here because you don't see
Yes.
what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And seeing what it is later on really hurts it.
Yeah.
Like I said, undercuts it with comedy.
Yeah. That was, and you bringing that up, T, that is something that I think did hurt it more than it did save it, was the comedy. Because I do thinking about it now, it is very misplaced in certain parts. And even if they're supposed to be scary later, none of it feels that way.
And coming from you, that is saying a lot.
Yeah, none of it feels scary. None of it is... To where even Tucker and Dale's very heavy on the comedy.
Yeah.
But when they are supposed to be doing something serious or something's happening that's crazy, it's like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not watching it and like, get the fuck it. Is this shit almost over?
It's a consistency in tone, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
A movie like Tucker and Dale, Shaun of the Dead, fucking Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
there is a vibe and we're sticking to the vibe.
Yeah.
This does not match anything else that we see in this movie
No,
at all.
it really doesn't. So to say it sets the tone.
Yeah. no.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it confuses it.
Yeah.
You've got this Hitchcockian like theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
that's the thing too, is it sets it up to fail even more so. I know we are on the first scene
Yeah.
to derail it so much, but I didn't really think about it until like y'all are kind of unpacking it, and it really does, because you're right. At this point I was like, I'm on board.
Yeah.
And then this is where we cut to very 90s music, very 90s looking dudes, and I'm like, what? I'm here. I'm sat. Like,
Yes.
I'm excited. And then it's like, oh, okay. I get
and
it now.
I just want to say I said Hitchcockian theater of the mind as his example and his explanation of how to do a scene like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is nothing like Hitchcock.
No.
No. Oh yeah. No.
It not at all.
There's no birds.
No, there was not,
Not
one bird.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Although
On this show.
I think Pigot means pigeon in so kind
Oh,
of.
God damn.
I got worries. But to the sound of very 90s alternative music, we fade in on a European train during the day. Waiter on train, played by Pierre Baudry, drops off a bottle of sangria and 3 glasses to a group of tourists. These tourists are Andy McDermott, played by Tom Everett Scott, Brad, played by Vince Viloff, and Chris, played by Phil Buckman. Very quickly,
Yeah.
Tom Everett Scott,
Mm-hmm.
the year before, he was the lead in a little film called That Thing You Do.
Mm-hmm.
Bears more than a passing resemblance to a young Tom Hanks, who also wrote and directed that film, which is very interesting.
Really? I didn't know
No,
that.
I
Yeah.
didn't either.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
Watch it. Watch it. But I will say that I was happy to see him
Right.
because of how much I love that film, and we'll talk more about another cast member. But I think that was another thing that disappointed me so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw a little like behind the scenes thing, and he was just talking about how I think he said he was like 26, and the fact that he got to go to Europe and go to all these locations and see the Eiffel Tower, and he was just jazzed about that. Like he talked about that more than he talked about making the movie at all. So you know,
All right. Well.
Take that for what you will.
yeah.
But Andy pays the waiter, telling him to keep the change. And when the waiter tells him there is no change, Andy tells him to keep it anyway. He does that like I'm passing an acquaintance in public smile.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is their small way of them being like, no, he's the nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this entire conversation for me that's coming up, it's very much like, oh no, we like Andy. Like that's what it is. Also, I just really got to point out the fact that the dude from Rat Race that had the infected tongue ring.
Yeah.
yeah.
We
That is him.
have to
Of
pay
course.
tribute
Yeah.
for the
That
work
was
he
a
did
good
in that
movie.
film.
It was a good movie then. I don't know how.
I don't know either. But I loved it back then.
But Andy, with a freshly poured glass of sangria, toasts to Paris. And Chris meets his toast with a beware. I don't know why he says this.
Yeah.
That's probably a nod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't fucking know. I don't know.
But their clinking of glasses almost spills over onto Brad's notepad, which has the tabulations of their cross-country competition. Brad reads off the scores, boasting that he is in first place with 125 daredevil points. But when he shares that Chris is in second place with 95 daredevil points, Chris objects, asking, "What about the sex points?"
I don't think those are like the points you get at 7-Eleven to save on gas. I don't think that's the same thing.
This is so just paper thin. Like, this
Yeah.
is so flimsy.
Brad says those are separate.
There are clear and defined rules.
Yes, this annoys Chris, and Andy had no idea that there even were sex points being recorded, reminding Chris to read his own shirt, which reads Daredevil Tour.
Which reads sex points.
Yeah.
He's like, I did. That's why I asked.
What are you talking about?
But just then, an uncredited blonde woman walks by, which gets the attention of Chris, who lies that she smiled at him. As she sits down, Andy shatters Chris's dreams, telling him that there's no way that she's interested in douchebags like them. He says that European women are charming and sophisticated, especially the French.
Leave that woman alone.
Yeah.
Stop generalizing people. Stop. Just let her fucking ride the train, dude. Like, Jesus Christ.
She's literally just trying to get to where she's going.
Yeah.
She didn't even look at him.
No,
No.
leave her alone.
Brad makes a juvenile remark about body hair, which only proves Andy's douchebag remark. But Chris has a proposition. He'll give Andy 20 sex points if he gets the woman's number. Andy nervously declines the offer, covering his face with an unfolded map, telling his friends that the woman just isn't his type. They all react in annoyance, asking Andy the last time he had sex, and not by himself.
Yeah.
The woman looks up at Andy when this question is asked, and Andy just tells his friends that there's sex and there's love, and this is what differentiates humans from animals. Chris rephrases the question, asking Andy the last time he was in love, and Andy bites back. When were you ever in love? It's like, God damn.
Yeah, this is a lot. I will say the separates humans from animals line, very clever. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
But which one of these guys do you think that we're like rooting for?
Well, we've got two cavemen.
We've got two that are interchangeable and one that loves love. What do you guys think?
Jeez, I wonder who we're going to follow. But to this remark, Chris retorts that Andy is holding the map upside down. And I guess it's supposed to be a moment of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Andy just stashes it. Brad tells Chris to take it easy on Andy and says that they can't let him fall too far behind in the rankings. But upon hearing this, Andy promises them to show them a stunt that they'll never top once they make it to Paris.
Fall behind on so is this like a more massive, like, are they a team?
I don't know.
Because why would you care if it's just the three of y'all against each other? Why do you care if he falls behind?
It's the Amazing Race.
Yeah, that implies that this is like a society. Like we're all doing this.
Yeah.
Like we got a couple guys in Japan, a couple in Australia,
and they said they'll kill us if we get less than.
We can't let Andy fall behind. What is this?
That's our next on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. I will tell you that in Stern and Burns' draft, what it was Andy's uncle was murdered in Paris.
Okay.
And he hops on a plane to Paris to kind of investigate the strange happenings of his uncle's murder.
All right.
That's why he's in Paris.
Who's his uncle?
I don't know. Some guy.
I mean, it could,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It could be a connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep
But
saying
instead
that.
they're like, I don't know if it's Elia, but have you guys seen American Pie?
Yeah.
I think we just want to do something like that. And put a werewolf in it.
I feel like if you're going to do that, then we don't need the daredevil whatever.
No.
Then just let them be douchebag college guys or whatever.
They're like, guys, we got to get them on the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Throwing in the evil Knievel spin doesn't make me like them.
And
not at all.
Yeah, it makes me like them even less.
Yeah. And that was the thing that pissed off Stern and Burns. They're like, what the hell even is the Daredevil tour?
Like I said, it's very flimsy. It feels like we got to get them from here to here. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, but then weren't the 90s, like the late 90s, like edgy and everybody's like adding an X to everything and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like, this is kind of...
Oh, we always had to do jackass stuff. That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Adding an X.
Well, it was very important to show how edgy you were.
Like the BMX?
Yeah.
Right? Static X?
Yes.
We were drawing those weird
X
S's
Games.
on everything.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
crazy.
The X Games. We're lucky it's not called an American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
But the train continues down the track, and we cut to the Eiffel Tower at night, the final batch of tourists exiting, and the staff closing down for the evening. After everything is locked up, Andy, Brad, and Chris peek their heads out from atop the elevator. Brad offers an all clear, and the men ascend the fenced-off staircases to a very 1990s song that I couldn't find out what it was.
Yeah, I was laughing out loud. Okay, a couple things. First of all, I think we all watched this on Tubi, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I do freelance captioning work. Please call me because these were atrocious. They were embarrassing.
Yes.
But secondly, I already have in my notes, I feel like they keep just dropping us into the middle of scenes. So that was weird. Already I was feeling that. The fact that there is no security at the Eiffel Tower is baffling.
They closed up fast.
Yeah,
they
so
did.
fast.
And then,
They must have had somewhere to be.
yeah,
Everybody get out. I was like, holy shit.
them climbing the stairs and it's like, freak it. life again.
Yeah.
I was like, what is, you're starting to lose me a little bit.
It seemed like, I remember the ads that we used to see as kids in Germany.
Uh-huh.
It seemed like one of those, like a Snapple ad or something.
Apple.
Or like a Sky One advertisement or something. I just remember like the most 90s music you can ever think of. And it's like these people dressed like, it's very funny. But it fits the vibe of this era so much.
Yeah.
No, it does.
But still climbing the stairs, Andy leads the pack, with Chris and Brad struggling behind him and taunting him that he won't even have the guts to use the equipment that he's carrying. But Andy finally makes it to the top, walking over to the railing to survey the beautiful sight of the lights of Paris at night. So I did see on a featurette that the scenes and shots that we see of them on the elevator, of them climbing the staircase, they were actually filmed at the Eiffel Tower.
That's
Really?
amazing.
Yes, the city closed down the Eiffel Tower for them to film this.
Would it be too much to say I thought all of that was fake?
Well, because when we get to the top, it's clearly fake.
Yeah.
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 Well, they
Yeah.
should have been like, I'm going to need to see a script first.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we just let everyone,
Yeah.
anyone and everyone film here.
They said, please. That's really all it takes.
Yeah, and then, maybe that's where some of the budget came from.
Okay.
Having to close down for...
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Oh, yeah,
know.
like we talked about. Oh, what with the nun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did, and it was just such a stark shift. And this is what we didn't talk about with The Nun because of their production design.
Right.
The budget really shocked me because you see a clear shift. It was almost like on that 70s show when they show like the fucking thing that they, what is that? Like, what are they standing on at the thing? You remember? And then they show them on
Oh,
it. And
jumping?
Then, yeah. Because you're like, oh, wow, that looks really cool. Oh, no, it's clearly a set. Like, that's how it felt. I haven't watched that show since I was like a child. But that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Where there's just a stark shift.
Got it.
I'll continue with my script. I thought you guys would be there for me more than you were. But
It took me a second, but I get what
No,
you're saying.
all right.
It is though. It's like I don't know. I feel like that adds to kind of like you said about the skits.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, we're here now. Okay, this is the same move. Like this doesn't even look, but
Yeah,
No.
and, honestly, and SNL does the same thing where they have an establishing shot of a real location.
yeah, and then you're
And
in
then you're
there.
like, no, this is Studio 8H in Rockefeller Center.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, when they're up there, from when they get up there and they start doing whatever, I was like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah,
But
and it was so cool because they have those POV shots of the curve of the stairs.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, they really did this. And then it's like,
Yeah.
in a Studio 80.
Yeah.
but just as Chris and Brad finally join Andy at the top, the lights of the tower shut off. Brad and Chris pop open a bottle of wine and sit down to drink it as Andy calculates the height and wind speed for his stunt. Andy tears off a corner of the piece of paper and watches it dance on the wind on the way to the ground. I don't know what this... He's like, no, I'm really high up.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's like the way the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
I guess that makes more sense.
Like, holy
It's like,
shit.
oh my God, guys, let's get down. We're breaking the law, right? Which doesn't come up.
No,
Yeah.
no, they really get off scot-free.
Yeah.
Like everyone is allowed one stunt,
guess.
stunt off of a national landmark. But I guess after checking the wind direction, he's ready.
That's all I needed.
As Brad calls out to him to join them for a drink, Andy takes off his backpack and starts to unload the gear that he brought to bungee jump.
So here's the thing, okay? He said on the train, I'm going to show you the stunt to end all stunts or whatever the fuck. And then they get here. He's very determined. He's not stopping to rest. He's fucking climbing the stairs. They sit down once they get up there. He's testing the wind. He's getting his shit out. And they're like, what are you doing, man? It's like, we came up here to do this. What do you mean?
Well, and they were like,
They're like, Andy, no.
well,
I'm like, he made it very
No,
clear
yeah.
what he was doing.
but on the way as well, they're like, you don't have the guts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're like, ooh, wine. And then just start drinking. I don't understand.
It's just so weird.
I don't know if I would like to be like, yeah, I'll have a drink at the top of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to be dizzy from being that high up anyway.
Yeah.
Mix alcohol with that? Oh,
Just
no.
lay on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing, thankfully.
Yes.
I think what really gets me as far as high up places like that is the height of the railing. It needs to be
No.
Oh, yeah.
at least
To the
A
ceiling.
cage?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It needs
Yeah.
to be a wall, really.
Yeah. Fuck no.
We stayed at this hotel once in, I think it was Dallas, and it had an atrium that was just wide open, and we were on like the 15th floor.
Yeah.
And so I was to the wall like Solid Snake, just to get to the elevator or get ice or whatever. I'm like, I can't.
It honestly makes me sick to my stomach because I just imagine like one
Yeah.
lean too far and then your feet are in the air. It's just over.
The call of the void as well.
Yeah. And then you're a Jill sandwich. And it's
It's not fun for anyone.
It's not fun
No.
for anyone.
But how many Daredevil points is that?
Or you're having sex on the way down.
No.
You can max it out right there.
Well, he won.
Yeah. No shit.
But as soon as Brad realizes what Andy's doing, he goes over to talk him out of it. After offering Andy some wine, Brad tells him that they were just fooling around earlier on the train and that he doesn't have to go through with this.
He has his gear.
Yeah.
Like, you knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that you've been doing nothing but bungee jumping,
Yeah.
because there's no way that you're like, well, I also have a parachute.
Yeah.
I also have one of those windsuits where I'm like a lizard or whatever. You know, like how many things do you have? Or are you just doing like jackassy thing where you're like, I'm going to knock this coffee out of that old man's hand and it's like 10 points.
It's not really Daredevil.
No, but
Yeah.
it's
Daredevil is bungee jumping.
But it's like what people do with pranks now.
yeah.
Where it's like, I punch you in the face, that's a prank.
Yeah.
It's like, I love you. It's like, no.
I know, I'm
No
very
shit.
upset.
Yeah.
I hate that whole genre of the
Yeah.
internet.
You've chipped
Yeah.
my tooth.
Yeah, that's not a prank.
No.
I'll
Yeah.
see you in court.
Yeah. The disillusion of our friendship. But Andy straps on his gear and tells Brad that he wants to do this and no one is forcing him to. Brad just tells him that it's madness and that he's going to get himself killed. He begs his friend to reconsider, but they're interrupted by Chris, who hears someone else on the tower with them. Andy puts his ear to a metal pillar, which, all right, and he hears, he hears someone approaching. I don't think of metal as being a good sound conductor, really, but I suppose...
I mean,
Well,
the
no,
vibrations,
the
I guess.
vibration,
Yeah.
But it's not as though it's like a tracker. Like,
That's what I
No.
was going to say. He's somehow fucking tracking people now. He
Yeah.
understands. He must have worked at Jurassic Park.
yes.
Yeah, he got his...
And that thing is so big. I feel like the wind would. I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just, you know,
Well, they've got about 3 steps left.
Yeah.
we've got to hide right now.
No, he's not just a daredevil. He is Daredevil.
No.
But the shadow of this person rounds the corner, and we see that they're on the same level as the 3 men. Chris asks who or what it is, and Andy silences him as he peeks around the corner and the person comes into view.
Your use of the word peak is very generous because
Yeah.
his entire fucking head is out.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Well,
It's a cartoon peak.
I was kidding.
Yes.
Exactly. But with a tear rolling down her cheek, we see that it is Seraphine, played by Julie Delpy. Now, I love Julie Delpy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who has listened to Talk Mortem has heard me go on and on about Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, how important these films are to me and Jules. Julie Delpy stars opposite Ethan Hawke in these films, and so when I tell you I was very surprised to see her here, I can't even quantify.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised and a little dismayed when I realized
Dismayed. Oh no.
Yeah. Julie, no, not you. So
That sucks. But I was like, no.
yeah, I wanted to do some research
Right.
to discover why.
Yeah.
And I read in The Guardian, Julie Delpy apparently said this was a horrible experience,
Wow.
this film. And she said that the real motivation behind it was the money.
Yeah.
She wanted to pay her rent, is what she said.
That's all I read was I only did this to pay my rent. That's what I
God
heard
damn.
that she
Yeah.
said.
Well, we've heard a few actors say that before.
Yeah.
True. And the thing is that she said the director was cruel to her and that it wasn't. And you see in the interviews, I think that's what upsets me the most is that you saw Tom Everett Scott in his interviews being like, Europe's great.
Yeah.
But in her interviews, she is talking about her character.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get into this character to play it effectively.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, she gives a performance that this movie does not deserve.
She does what she can.
Yeah.
Like, with what she has.
But after this film, she stayed away from Hollywood films entirely.
Damn.
And she still, I don't think, does anything mainstream.
Because of this?
Because of this.
Yeah.
Damn.
But she said that what she was paid for it allowed her time off to write, to take a break.
Okay.
And, which is very great, is that the time that she was able to take for this thankfully helped lead to Before Sunset, which she co-wrote with Ethan Hawke and Richard Linklater.
Yeah, yeah.
Which really is a great picture.
Yes.
So, I mean, there is a weird argument that An American Werewolf in Paris allowed for such creative time.
So the pain from this.
Yeah. Translate it.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing is that those films is about basically, she meets an American tourist. And so there's a lot of overlap.
That's hilarious.
No werewolves?
No.
She's the werewolf.
Oh, shit.
But it's wild to see her here,
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. But her more than anyone, she gives such a good performance.
Yeah.
She does someone else later on too. I'm like, you're fucking giving it everything that you have. We'll talk about it then. But it's like, man, I just wish they gave you more to do, more to work with.
Yeah. But Seraphine folds up a letter and places it into her pocket as all three men peek out at her from behind a pillar. Brad asks what she's doing here, and Chris tells them to check out the talent.
It's like, what?
So I'm going to throw you off this thing.
Yeah. There's nothing good about what's happening here.
No.
Something is horribly wrong. And you're just like, oh, God. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
he's like, how many daredevil points is
Yeah.
It's like,
shut the fuck up.
she has no gear.
Yeah.
No.
She's not doing anything fun.
She's crying.
She's literally crying in front of you.
Again, the comedy, that's not
No.
where you need
it's
to
not
put it
appropriate.
there. Yeah.
No. But the camera presses in on Andy's face as he's clearly, in this moment, falling in love.
Yeah.
But completely fallen. He's
Yes.
gone.
Yeah.
Seraphine steps onto the railing, and Andy immediately steps out of his hiding place and calls out to her, getting her attention and asking if she speaks English. She just looks at him, and he tells her that nothing's bad enough for her to do this. He climbs onto the railing halfway, asking her to let him help her. Seraphine just closes her eyes and jumps.
I didn't want to break the momentum, but when he comes out, he has the Life is Strange hand. Like, no!
Didn't work.
It did not work. It didn't.
I almost expected him to be like, look, my friends are psychic. We can help. My name's Alex. We can, it's like, no, just...
But no, we're not.
No.
Well, with the speed, he fell in love.
Yeah.
He's like, honey, get down from there.
You always do this.
But Andy dives after her screaming. The two plummet to the ground, but mid-air, with some kind of superhero logic, Andy is able to reach out and grab Seraphine by the ankles. Having not secured the bungee cord at all, Chris and Brad run to grab it, crashing against the railing and keeping their friend from suffering a certain death.
That looked great, right, guys?
Well, let me say.
Let me say.
I will say the speed at which they hit the railing reminded me of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just like we got till this weekend.
Yeah.
But I think the thing for me is that I wasn't sure if this looked good in 1997.
Yeah.
And so whenever I posted about watching this film on Letterboxd, people were like, no, it looked bad then too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well then I guess that's all right.
Well, I mean, think about the movies that we've covered from around that time or before.
True.
Yeah.
You know?
That is true. And I did see them doing this in a featurette, and the way that they did it was a lot of green screens and a lot of very powerful fans,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of composited it together.
Okay.
But I mean, it could look worse.
Yeah.
It could look worse.
I mean, it could.
And the fact that seem to be experienced in the bungee jumping and whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And that he would connect it to himself before he would connect it to something to save his life is
That is also
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that he is only going to make that mistake one time.
Yes.
Because that
Right.
is something that you learn from and you never fucking
It's
do
very
again, right?
important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although from that mistake, I do see why he's behind in Daredevil points.
Yes.
And two, that it's funny because the cord can only hold, I think, like 450 pounds. So,
Really?
yeah. Because I was like, would they be able to stop them?
It's
So-
it's the force. I
Yeah.
think that they're like I don't know.
Because
I don't
he
know.
does do the where he like puts his hands in front of him and swims
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
air to catch her, and it's like,
It's-
oh, okay.
He's Spider-Man.
It's
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man logic.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know if Chris and Brad would just sail over the top.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, grab it.
They're
Go!
flipping really fast.
Yeah, it's really bad. But with a little help from his friends, Andy lowers Seraphine to the ground safely. She looks up at him before reaching her feet and escaping into the night. Andy, accidentally snagging one of her shoes on his way back up, just keeps screaming, "Yeah!" very triumphantly. But he promptly makes contact with a metal beam in some kind of Looney Tunes sound effect.
Yes.
That, no joke, when that happened, I was like, oh, this is not.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is taking a turn very quickly.
An animal
Yes.
fell on his head.
Yes. And the birds are like, tweet, tweet, tweet.
Acme, dude.
I was, every time.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked that we were doing a Cinderella thing with this.
Mm-hmm.
But more so, he'd be dead.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
would have killed him immediately.
Well, he was a superhero. We saw.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm
So
sorry.
he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But Andy wakes up later in a hospital bed, bandages covering his face, with Chris and Brad standing over him. They ask him if he's okay as he sits up slowly, and Chris sits on the side of the bed with him. He holds Seraphine's shoe up to Andy, asking him if he remembers dropping it. It's wild that they found this, first of all.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
they connected it to Andy or Seraphine, period.
I didn't even think about that part. I thought about that's your priority.
He's like, this shoe?
It's lucky to be alive.
I just think that in a big city like Paris, you could find a shoe on the ground and I'd be like, oh, this must be.
Yeah.
They didn't even see how, from where they were, they couldn't see Seraphine run away with one shoe on.
No.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
Yeah.
Movie magic or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's sacrifice for the love story. But Andy asks where she is, and his friends retort, who? Cinderella? Brad says it was after midnight, so she split, but they applaud his heroic rescue of her. Brad tells him to just remember to tie off his cord next time. Andy realizes in this moment that they saved his life, and they tell him that he saved hers.
But come on, man, you could have really hurt. He would have really hurt himself.
Oh, well, yeah.
You would have
and I
died.
I don't know if he would have been able to stop her like that.
No, of
Oh,
course
no.
not.
Yeah. It would have ended a lot more like
Yeah.
Yeah.
a certain Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But, and this is where I was like, come on. Because of their assistance with his jump, they think they deserve half of his Daredevil points.
Again, this is what you're worried about in this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as well, this really, I know it's a really, like, ridiculous plot device, these Daredevil points. But I would like to know more about how they work and what
Yeah.
any of it means.
I
Yeah.
think that we've stumbled upon a secret society that these men are a part of.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it goes back to, like, I don't want to say bad. I'll say like lazy writing for me. When you have any character that is the same 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Because even if they're like points, oh, getting laid, blah, blah, blah. Your friend almost died and you're in the hospital and he just woke up and you're like, I get half your points, bro. Like, this is like, no. Nobody would say that.
No.
Not in Are You Okay?
And- but
but
it's-
you're severely concussed.
Yeah.
Wake up. You know,
It's-
none of that.
It's so weird because Brad does have these moments of sincerity
Yeah.
where he's like, you saved her life, Brown Eyes, or whatever.
You made her life worth singing.
Yeah. And so, like,
Not a King of Queens reference.
that's all I got.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. to have
I know.
to have Chris just be so all about these points, it is a little much.
It's just,
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
And I think that's where there is that disconnect, because in An American Werewolf in London, they were more like human beings.
Yeah.
Because they were, talking about Debbie Klein or whatever on the way to the pub. But when things are weird, they're like, this pub's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would
And
have... It was. And for a good reason. They would have those moments together where they kind of were able to act like human beings.
Yeah.
But that is lost here, and it just feels too, I don't know.
It's like caricatures.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, okay, then that's not why we're here. We're going to see some really great effects, some really gnarly shit later. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to get it through dialogue. I'm not getting it
Right.
through character development, but things are going to pop off later.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, really? Like,
Yeah.
what?
No, they definitely put all their attention to the werewolf. To these transformations, which we'll learn later.
Yeah.
But Andy isn't paying attention to any of the Daredevil point stuff, and he just lays back in bed, holding Seraphine's shoe and calling her the woman of his dreams. He says that he has to find her because she might try this again, but Brad just tells him that she's out of her mind. Besides, all they have to locate her is this shoe that she left behind. But Andy remembers. The letter. He says it was probably a suicide note, and he asks if they found it. The music grows very weird and whimsical as Chris promises that they'll go look for it and tell Andy to just rest in bed. I made note of the music because it reminded me, it's very esoteric, but Final Fantasy VIII with the timber owls. Like, that's exactly what it sounded like.
That's funny.
It was accurate. It was so notable that I even put, it's getting real because the heartfelt music is playing. Because it's like, comes out of nowhere.
It really does, and I just don't. And the thing is that it gets shut off immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
we cut to Brad and Chris in the light of day accosting random Parisians near the Eiffel Tower who all happen to be reading something, but playing in the background is Walking on the Sun by Smash Mouth.
yeah.
I almost
By
was
the Smash. Put some respect.
Yes.
This was so jarring.
Yes.
My note here was, first of all, not Smash Mouth, LMFAO. And then I put, is this a horror movie? Because by now I've completely forgotten the opening with the running and the attack and all that.
Oh, completely.
This just seems like a teen romp, like a college romp in Paris. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like.
Yeah, I had forgot that this was there or here, and I was like, what's happening? I was like, where are we going here? Because that is kind of how, thinking about it now, I did also forget what happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even remember that this is a werewolf movie right now.
I want to say something that really upset me about Burns and Stern's draft.
Yeah.
Because they made a very, very concerted effort to do exactly what John Landis did, and they painstakingly looked and found a bunch of songs with the word moon. The word moon in the title.
Yeah.
And that was all that they were going to use for the soundtrack. And to show just how opposite this film is, there's Walking on the Sun.
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah.
No, it's a great song. And I didn't know it as a kid, but it's a very serious song.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That I learned as an adult re-listening to it. I was like, whoa, this is not...
Well, because it sounds so fun.
It
but
does.
It's
Yeah, which is honestly how you do songs like that.
Yeah.
The Smiths did it all the time where the song
Oh,
is like,
yeah.
this is the happiest music I've ever heard. Oh, he is very... He's very, very upset. He's very lonely. But writing the script, just a few days later, Steve Harwell passed away.
Yeah, yesterday, I think, from when we're recording it.
Yeah.
Which is very sad. I think not too long ago on Talk Mortem, we were talking about how much we loved one of their albums growing up.
Astro Lounge.
Yeah.
We grew up. We were children. We
were children.
Yeah. At one
That's
time,
very true.
At one time in our life, we were children.
Yeah.
But no, we grew up very, very young, single digits, listening to Smash Mouth.
Yeah. It's just really sad. We didn't say it out loud, but I think that the light bulb went off for both of us a minute ago off mic that they were also at the end of Rat Race.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember.
Shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Where we were, even as a kid, I was like, what is this ending?
with Jude.
Yeah.
With the guy here.
Yeah.
Brad.
With the infected tongue ring,
Yeah.
yes.
And then Kevin Bacon or whatever. I feel like we're playing that game right now. But back to the film. Chris gets busted in the face for looking down a woman's shirt, and Brad runs afoul of a man reading a newspaper. But they regroup on the ground, looking at scattered papers, but when they're tossed spare change by a passerby, they fight over it.
Again, clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like any of what's happening here.
No.
I don't understand him staring at the woman's cleavage and then like trying to like, oh, sorry, or what, and then it's just all really weird. Guy dances away when he's jumping around behind, trying to look over the guy's shoulder, and it's like, what are you doing, dude?
It's the weirdest montage.
Yeah.
And the fact that y'all are looking for a piece of paper on the streets of Paris.
I just want to let...
It's wild.
Like, you're not finding it.
No.
You just wanted to see the Eiffel Tower again.
Yeah. This whole montage, I just wrote, I can't believe this.
No, yeah. I don't understand what... I hope, and you said none of this was there, or this was...
Oh, this wasn't their script.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope this wasn't in what's going on before, because this was very, very not...
Well, it just feels like they're trying to do too much with this movie. They want it to be this 90s teen comedy.
Yeah.
They want it to be... it just doesn't work.
No.
And moments like this just are baffling.
Yeah.
But Andy wakes up in bed again, surrounded by patients, children, and hospital staff. In his stupor, he stares through the window into the hall of the hospital, and in slow motion, he sees Seraphine walk by. He throws on his robe, steps into his slippers, and snags her shoe to meet her in the hallway. After getting cut off by a gurney and a few nurses, Andy notices Seraphine walking quickly out of a surgical suite and into the hall. As she walks away, he calls out to her with a very strange inflection. He holds up her shoe and he says, "You forgot this?"
God.
This line reading.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't understand how the director was like, print it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in Paris, y'all.
See, again, this is the skit.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it should be some kind of fake product, and then you should get the voiceover, and we do not blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
Colon blow.
Yeah, yes, colon blow. There you go.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just like, and that's where I get so confused. It's like, you could do another take, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless this is the line reading, you're like, yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's how he told him to say it.
Cut.
Well, it almost kind of feels too like a dream.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And that's why, honestly, I didn't think that this happened.
Right.
That she was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the way that he wakes up and then she's like carrying a bag with
Yeah,
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a second. I thought that because obviously he's very concussed.
Yes.
And
And he's lucky to be.
Yes.
Just concussed.
And I mean, the hospital staff was there. They weren't that distracted by the children. Shouldn't they be telling him to lay back down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just, roam the halls. It's fine.
Yeah.
But Seraphine turns around to look at him, and we see that she's holding a plastic bag with a human heart inside of it.
But again, that would work if this were a dream because he's in love. She stole my heart.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. Like that would make sense.
And we'll get to that in a minute, too.
The fact the fact that it's the next day and she went into work is impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she is actually there. She's actually a nurse and she's actually got a bag with the heart in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot for you to ask of me to buy it.
Yeah.
Now, is she a nurse? Is she working here?
She's either a nurse or she stole a costume.
Because I don't think they talk about somebody else that's a nurse.
Then I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah.
if this is...
I figured, because the way she was walking around, I was like, well, you know what you're doing, I guess. I mean, well, nobody's stopping her.
Excuse me,
Nobody's
ma'am?
like,
Like, you're also dressed in white, yes. Come on in. But Seraphine smiles and takes a step towards Andy in slow motion as the music blooms romantically. But all is broken when Surgeon, played by Chris Byrne, opens the door to the surgery suite, knocking Andy to the ground.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's very slapstick.
It
Yeah.
is.
The surgeon apologizes, asking Andy if he saw a girl because she stole his heart. Andy says he knows the feeling.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
The surgeon's like, there's a patient.
Yeah.
We need that heart.
yeah, no shit.
He's
I
gonna
got
die.
somebody on the table. Oh my God.
But Chris and Brad return, sliding across the floor to meet Andy on the ground and check on him. It's like he scored a goal or something. It was too dramatic. But Andy tells them that the girl was just here, and he points down the hall, telling them to go after her. They assume he's just hallucinating, so they don't do anything at all, which, again, surprised me.
Yeah.
But they do have good news. They somehow found her letter. They show it to him, and he smiles in relief.
So was her address on the letter?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen the letter
Yeah. Something.
to know, because that's odd.
Yeah. And the fact that they scoured Paris and found a piece of paper, but they wouldn't just go down the hall and see a whole ass person walking.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
That is wild.
Well, damn, dude, you gotta be hurt even worse. Now this dude hit you in the back of the head
Yep.
with the
Oh, yeah.
door, but you're okay because you found the note.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lay back down.
Yeah.
He's like, and we should go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm seeing stars right now. Was that Julie Delpy? But we promptly cut to a beautiful French house covered in greenery and moss. Andy, Chris, and Brad walk up to it, having learned everything from the letter, apparently, including her name, Seraphine Pigot, which Brad pronounces incorrectly, of course. They ring the bell, and Chris stares through the window like a creep.
Yes.
And he's like, "You're on."
Yeah.
Let her answer. Like, why do you have to do this? But Andy calls out when Seraphine answers, telling her that he's the guy from the night before and he has her shoe. Seraphine answers the door cautiously, and Andy over-explains himself and attempts to crack a joke about the shoe not being his size, and he also introduces her to Chris and Brad for some reason.
Why are Chris and Brad there?
I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, you said the night before, so this is we just left the hospital?
Oh, yeah. 'cause-
Yeah.
Yeah. We just left the hospital because it's daytime still.
Yeah, and she's still wearing her
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the nurse attire. And the hospital, where they let him
Yeah, he's
go?
like,
Yeah.
merci.
So you left the hospital.
Merci
You-
beaucoup. And just
Use
leaves.
the note to find her address
Yes.
all before nighttime.
Yes.
Yeah. They're efficient.
Having,
Yeah.
These
having,
daredevils are efficient.
having never been to Paris,
To Paris.
it's within walking distance, I guess, of the hospital, which is really, it's good for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we
One
learned.
commute, you know?
But he finally just offers her shoe back. I will say him introducing Chris and Brad makes it very difficult for them later.
Yes.
So it was very unnecessary. But she reaches for the shoe, and as she snatches it, Andy sees that her hand is covered in blood. She tells Andy that he's very kind, but he must not stay here, and she closes the door. Chris and Brad are over it, throwing Andy's words in his face about French women being charming and sophisticated. But somehow, Andy was the only one that noticed the blood on her hands.
That's what I'm saying. Why are y'all pretending like you didn't see
Yeah.
that? It was, I mean, it was there.
It was.
Clearly there.
Yeah.
I will say again with the line reading, he goes, "Did you see what I saw?"
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's the right way to say it. Sorry.
No.
He goes, "Did you see what I saw?" And it's like, again, you can do another take. You could do. I was so
really can't.
stuck in not being an alien.
Yeah.
But I just I don't get it. But Andy rings the bell again, worried for Seraphine. She answers it, telling him that he has to leave. But Andy asks about the blood on her hands, and Seraphine calmly tells him that it's just paint and that she's redecorating the cellar.
It's just raspberry jam.
Yeah.
Stop.
It makes me laugh because he goes, "We can help you, right, guys?"
Yeah.
Oh
Like, dude,
my God. Enough.
We got a lot of stunts we wanted to do. Or the society's going to butcher us. We've determined.
It's like your hospital trip really set us back.
Yeah.
Gotta make up for lost
That
time.
was 12 hours we'll never get back. But, okay, so here's the thing. She's like, "Oh, I'm just redecorating the cellar, you know." And she's like, "But leave now."
Yeah.
It's like, so obviously something else is afoot.
Right. You don't want help.
No.
No.
Something else is a pause. But Andy, as I said, offers to help her paint the cellar, but Seraphine just wants him to leave. He then starts to whine and beg for her to talk to him, saying that if she does, he'll never bother her again.
Dude, I was in disbelief. I understand that he's supposed to be like the feeling one or the romantic one or whatever. But if you're the game that you have is please.
Yeah.
And I'll never talk to you again. I swear to God. Just give me
Stop.
one afternoon.
Stop.
I had to pause the movie. I was like, God damn, dude, what?
It's cringe.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
bad.
He's like the desperation in his face too.
He's been watching those like dating things on YouTube.
Yeah.
Those fucking pickup
Don't
artists.
do that. Yeah, don't do that.
But Seraphine reluctantly accepts, telling him to meet her at 4 p.m. tomorrow in front of the concert hall. He asks if she means it, and she promises him, but asks him once again to leave. She closes the door, and Andy walks off with his friends, basically like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah. I would be like, dude, no, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing to watch.
Yeah. Go apologize to her right now.
Yeah, and then never see her again.
And never talk to her again.
Fuck.
Plus, the way that you've done it, she knows that you know where she lives now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're fucking scary now. Like, that's weird. Please don't do that.
Well, that and then that on top of we're still supposed to like this dude.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's
we're rooting
still-
for him.
Yeah, he's still supposed to be our hero.
Yeah. But
And
I feel like weird 90s movies at this time, like that was what we're supposed to get from this moment.
Yeah.
He got a date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like, at what cost?
Yeah.
Her safety, his dignity.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
All of it. But this surprised me as well because with the voices that we hear off screen, I thought anyway that we were going to get another montage of them preparing him for this date.
Yeah.
But instead, we immediately cut to the concert hall the next day at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I put, I guess it's tomorrow now.
Yeah.
Because we hear Chris and Brad dressing Andy up.
Yeah.
And so I thought we were going to go to a bunch of French like fashion stores.
Yeah.
The
No.
way that this film has been, that seemed right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
But Chris just gives him his jacket, and I think Brad gives him a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
Some
looks
sunglasses or some
he
shit.
looks
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
cool.
Because according to Chris, 80% of French girls really go for the macho type. I don't know who crunched his numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they also give him a pair of sunglasses and tell him not to show any insecurities and shove a handful of condoms into his shirt pocket.
I feel like the not showing insecurities thing was ruined with the whole
Yeah.
I'll never talk to you again. Just please give me a chance. That's out the door.
That is,
You've tipped your hat.
It's been
That's
all
done.
insecurity.
Yeah. That's done.
And what a weird bit of advice to give people or to give men in the 90s. Don't be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell her her breath stinks, dude. It's like, what?
They love that.
What the fuck?
But they tell him to be cool and show attitude as they notice Seraphine riding over to Andy on a bicycle. They hide behind a newspaper as Seraphine breezes past Andy, not recognizing him at first. But when she does, she asks him what he would like to do, and he asks if there are any cafes around. Seraphine reminds him that this is Paris. At a nearby cafe, after they're served coffee, Andy asks Seraphine if her parents mind her meeting him today. She plainly states that her parents are dead, which causes Andy to choke on his coffee.
I'm sorry, a couple things. I know I'm interjecting a lot, but
That's what the show is.
I guess what a weird question to ask.
Yeah.
She's a grown woman.
Uh-huh.
And that is not the response. My parents passed away. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck was that?
Well, you forgot this is, it's supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that?
I was going to say it is a comedy, but
It's supposed to be.
No,
That's
well.
not a spit take. That's oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
but again, we need these reactions because how are we going to make him laugh
Yeah, I guess.
if he doesn't spit this coffee in this poor girl's face
I was just floored.
after sharing the most haunting moment of her life?
Yes, floored.
But Seraphine asks him if he's okay, and behind her, we see Chris and Brad sitting at the bar and hiding behind menus. I just replayed in black and white. He's like, well, this is Brad and Chris. It's like,
Yeah.
you didn't have to do that.
You
Yeah.
should have had them hang back.
Mm-hmm. But Andy blows his nose on a napkin, and somehow, written on the napkin is 100 points if you boink her tonight. There was never a moment when this napkin could have been dropped.
Yeah.
Unless the waiter's like,
Yeah. Oh, it's a note from the waiter.
Yeah.
Monsieur. He's part of the society.
Yeah.
he's like, we? But Seraphine notices this note and tells him he's part of the society.
Well,
It's international.
Well,
It's like the fucking guys from Hostel.
it's hard to not notice it with the way he's very softly cleaning his mouth
Yes.
and
Yes.
holding the napkin open.
Yes.
Clearly unwrinkled for
Yeah.
Yeah.
her to read. But she notices it and tells him that most guys who ask her on a date just try to get her into bed. And she asks why she should think that he's any different. She asks if that's why he brought his friends along to witness him scoring with her. I was very glad that she called
Saw
them
them?
out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if this was going to be the kind of film where she pretends or somehow doesn't know who those people are,
Yeah.
when they're doing such a horrible job of hiding, that would have been too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Andy drops his coffee into his lap, promising that that isn't it at all. He pulls her note from his shirt pocket, but in doing so, litters the table with condoms.
You've given him enough of your time at this point.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and get the fuck up and leave.
Yeah. And that was way more condoms than
There
they
was-
put in his pocket earlier.
So many.
Yeah.
Did he
that
already
was-
have some in his pocket?
Yeah. No shit.
Andy, that's on you.
But he tells her that it's just chewing gum. He says that it's all the rage in the States. They take chewing gum and make it look like condoms. She goes to take one for herself, but he snatches it from her, tossing the condom into his mouth, remarking that it's nice and chewy. I was like, okay, how much time do I have left on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing the script?
Yeah.
No, straight up. I was like, okay, this should be funny. It's not.
It's not. It's really
not at all.
When did There's Something About Mary come out? Because this feels very that scene, right?
Okay. No, yeah. But again, though, I feel like with that's straight comedy and you're
Yeah.
leaning
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that so much. With this trying to be comedy horror, you can't, it's not working.
No.
There's Something About Mary was 98. And I will say the humor is very indicative of the time, but There's Something About Mary was funny. Like those
That's the difference.
those
Yeah.
parts were funny. You know, I mean, I don't know. This just does not. There is something that happens in a second that I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. And then they ruin it.
Yeah, well, this gets even worse.
Yeah.
Because Seraphine asks him to blow a bubble for her, as it's the custom in France. She says that the bigger the bubble, the more the boy likes a girl.
So what if the bubble is shaped like a penis? Does that mean I love you?
Yeah.
Well, Chris and Brad look on in horror as Andy musters all of his courage to blow a bubble. The condom puffs up like a balloon, and it sails out of his mouth in a CGI mess right into another patron's coffee cup. He tells Seraphine that his friends told him it was chewing gum. And Seraphine rightfully grabs her things to get the hell out of there.
Smartest thing you've ever done in your entire life.
But Andy stops her, saying that he's just so nervous and that if she leaves now and something happens to her, he'll blame himself for the rest of his life because he blew his chance to help her.
Okay, yeah, because we're all waiting for you to swoop into our lives and help us.
Yeah. What?
I don't know.
You're not Spider-Man. I know that you did some Spider-Man shit earlier, but you're not.
It was a one-time thing.
You probably should still be in the hospital right now.
None of this is actually happening. that could save this movie is at the end he wakes up in his hospital and like, dude, you've been having the craziest.
So he just fell on the train and hit his head. None of that even happened on the Eiffel Tower. I think it's now when all of this is going on. If you watch in the background, the guy whose coffee the condom flew into, he's complaining to the waiter. It's all happening very quietly behind Andy. And I was like, okay, this is funny. That's funny.
Oh, he's like, there's something wrong with my coffee, dude. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like pointing at it and the waiter's like, what? Like it's very quiet and you're looking at Andy and Seraphine. So it's in the background. I found it funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then they blow it in a minute.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yes. They blow the condom in a minute.
But Seraphine slowly sits back down, and Andy tells her that the second he saw her on the Eiffel Tower, he was so moved by her sadness, and he swore to himself that he would do anything to help her. He says that no one as beautiful or sensitive as her deserves to feel such sadness. I get the sentiment,
Yeah.
but that's a really I don't like that.
It's weird. It's fucking weird, dude.
But Seraphine takes off his hat and runs her fingers through his hair as he apologizes, saying that he's not who she thinks he is.
Not a wound in sight.
Yeah.
Not a bandage.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
He's
Not
fine
a
now.
Yeah.
massive scar.
Yeah, he's
at all.
fine.
But Seraphine just replies that if she goes, it's nothing to do with him. No one can help her, and anyone who tries is... But Andy interrupts her, saying that he hopes that she's not sorry that he saved her life. Seraphine just tells him that it was the sweetest, most courageous, and selfless thing that anyone has ever done for her. But just then, a server brings over a deflated condom on a spoon, asking if it belongs to Andy. Bodybuilder, played by Emile Capaccioni, whose coffee the condom flew into, grabs Andy by the shirt and puts him up against the wall.
This is when it was ruined for me.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like that could have been a little bit of quiet humor in the background. And no, he's like, bro, you just fucking my coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
And I'm sorry, but again, I just think of the conversation that had to be had of the other patrons. Like, no, he like fucking blew it in his mouth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it flew around the entire restaurant. You didn't see any of this?
I'm going to go kick his fucking ass.
that guy?
But that's why that works, because it's in the background
Yes,
happening.
That's why it was
Yeah.
funny.
But it's worse because the bodybuilder was like, no, bring it over to him first. So he knows.
Yeah.
He knows that I know, and then I'll kick his ass. But Chris and Brad try to help, but are thrown into cafe tables and chairs that tumble like bowling pins. Seraphine tries to get between them, and Andy threatens the bodybuilder if he lays a finger on her. Andy is promptly headbutted. But Seraphine pushes the man and sends him flying onto a table, glass and shelves crashing down on top of him. She exits the cafe immediately, and Andy follows her out, amazed.
I just really couldn't believe that any of this was happening.
Yeah.
It was very oddly cut because the push, she doesn't even make contact, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he sails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he flies.
But Seraphine rides off on her bicycle, Andy running alongside her, telling her that she was something else in there. He wonders how she was able to dispatch the man the way that she did, asking her if she works out.
I don't think that's not... that's not what... Hey, are you okay? That was intense back there. Are you all right?
Like, do you lift, bro?
Yeah. I don't...
No, and I'm sorry, but the way that he flew, I would not... I'm like, are we both superheroes?
Both.
Because I am.
Because I am. I've proven it twice. But it's pretty weird that we would meet like
Right,
this.
what's the odds of both of us watching this neighborhood?
Watching this
Yeah,
neighborhood.
I'm on vacation,
Right.
so I mean, it's really your turf, but it's wild. But Seraphine apologizes, saying that she just got carried away. She steps off of her bike, stopping at a stone wall overlooking the Seine. Andy catches up with her, asking if he should leave, and before she can even reply, he goes, I guess that means yes. It's like, give her a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're
God
so
damn.
annoying,
She
dude.
just went through a lot.
Yeah. You're not even worried about how... You know what I mean?
Yeah, at all.
No.
But he turns to walk away, but Seraphine stops him. She walks over to him, touching his face, but upon noticing blood trickling from his nose when he leans in for a kiss, she steps away from him, saying that she has to go and he must not get involved.
It was the slowest walk away in history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was like in Arrested Development, Charlie Brown, sad walk away. But he did it so slow for her to be like, oh no, wait, it's
Yeah.
okay. You
Of
know?
course. He's like, huh?
That was- and then wipe your nose.
Yeah.
You're gonna kiss somebody with fucking wipe your face.
You can feel that, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say the editing here is really unfortunate because in one shot she holds she holds his face with one hand.
Yeah.
And her thumb is on his lips, and then we cut immediately to her pawing at his face with both hands.
Pawing.
It's
Well,
jarring.
yeah.
Well, we learned. It's jarring.
Yeah.
It's just like let her go, dude. At
Yeah.
this point, you promised to meet me here and I'll never bother you again.
No,
She
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
She did.
Never bother her again. Leave her alone.
And
she's going through something that has nothing to do with you.
I just want to say that these locations in Paris look very nice.
Mm-hmm.
They look
Yeah.
wonderful. And it's
Yeah.
like you were able to shoot here.
Yeah.
And I also will say that there's a scene on the Seine in Before Sunset that I'm just I should have watched that instead.
What if he would have shown up with just a script for that? He's like, no, I didn't like that. Instead,
But we're talking about two different movies.
yeah.
I've called an audible. But and that's the other thing that we learned is that they shot some certain scenes in Paris, but then I've read that the majority of this film was shot on a stage in Luxembourg.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't know. It just upsets. It just upsets me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Go to hell. It just upsets me that you had access to such a beautiful location.
Yeah.
And
what did you do with that?
Yeah.
You blew condoms.
It'd be great, guys.
No shit.
It's weird. But Andy asks when he'll get to see her again, and she says that she doesn't think that they should, and it's only because she cares about him. But as she rides away, Andy shouts to her that she has a funny way of showing it. So,
oh my God.
it's clear that something dangerous is happening. If we're going to completely discount that we saw her steal a heart this morning.
Yeah.
We can assume maybe she's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Can't control herself.
She also had that super freaky strength 10 minutes ago in the cafe.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, we're not talking about that either. I was going straight to the mob or something.
Yeah.
But I guess that was weird too.
Yeah.
Would it have been too much if he moonwalked away?
Yes.
You know,
I mean,
not in
right.
this context.
That's
It
true.
would have been right at home.
As long as it was sad. Like the dark side of the moonwalk.
Moon.
Yes.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Very good. Very good. But that night, Andy, Chris, and Brad return to Seraphine's house.
Is this the same night?
Yeah. The two sidekicks try to tell Andy that Seraphine is just playing hard to get. They say that she's just acting mysterious to appear more interesting.
What?
She literally said, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You're in danger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm protecting you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right.
He's like, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
I don't think you
fine.
understand. I just kicked the Green Goblin's ass
Right. Did you see the way he threw that
last
dude in there?
week. Yeah.
Right, I know you thought that was you, but
That was me.
Yeah.
Right, my hand was touching it.
I hit him with a web sling. You didn't see it. But Andy disagrees with this assessment, telling them that the way that Seraphine talks about her parents, it's like she blames herself. No, it's not.
Nope.
Yeah.
She didn't say that at all.
No.
She literally said one thing about her parents.
She said they passed away and you choked on your coffee.
Yeah.
That was
a
it.
Fucking punk.
How do you really feel?
There's gonna pull
like
the guy now.
I didn't realize until I started talking, but I really don't like it.
You're not a fan of this guy. But Brad recounts her beat down of the bodybuilder at the cafe, saying that she must be a black belt or something.
Okay.
All right. But as they approach the front door of the house, it opens and out steps Claude, played by Pierre Cassot. They apologize, saying that they were just looking for Seraphine, but they learn that she isn't here. Claude is intrigued to learn that they're Americans because he loves Americans. But Andy asks if Claude is Seraphine's brother? Claude cryptically just says that he looks after Seraphine, which raises far more questions than it answers.
It does. And again, you know nothing.
No.
You know nothing about this woman. You know nothing about her life, about who she knows, about who lives in this house.
Right.
Find some business and mind it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you.
That's what you'll do in Paris.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
That's all
go
we're
eat
asking.
some crepes.
Yes.
This has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I don't think honestly, my probably first thought would be, oh, that's her sibling or something. And I wouldn't even think to be like, I feel like that's a lot to be like, hey, what are you, her brother or something?
You met her
what
yesterday.
the fuck are you talking about?
It could literally be her husband.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if it is.
What business is it of yours?
Yeah, ask, oh, that she's not here? Bet.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
How you know
Yeah.
Seraphine, bro?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. How do you know Sarah?
What are you talking about? The guys are like, dude, we're really fucking getting behind on points.
Yeah, they're going to cut our heads off. We only have till Thursday. But after the men thank him and turn to leave, Claude stops them, inviting them to a charity full moon party at Club du La Lune if they're not doing anything later. He hands them a flyer that he just so happened to have on him.
Mm-hmm. You got to spread the word.
Yeah.
I guess. But he says that it's for a good cause. And before Andy can... I think the cause is fighting world hunger.
Yeah.
In a very specific way.
Yeah.
But before Andy can politely decline, Claude tells him that Seraphine will be there. He says just tell the man at the door that Claude sent him. After Claude walks off, Brad remarks that Andy has competition.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You're just over it.
It's so stupid.
But the three men arrive at Club du La Lune. Yes, there's no time in between.
No.
No.
They're just here now. Now we're in the next skit.
Yeah.
They arrive at the Roxbury. But they walk up to the bouncer, played by Charles Maquignon. After telling him that they're friends of Claude, the bouncer lets them inside. He closes the door behind them and immediately cracks his knuckles, which is very worrisome.
Yeah.
It's unnerving. I feel like, and I have a tendency to be a little paranoid, especially if it's people that I don't know, a place that I don't know. The fact that this dude was like, "Oh, you're Americans? Come to my party." Wouldn't you be scared?
Oh, yeah.
I would feel like I was
Yeah.
being set up for something.
Again, hostile.
Yeah. Any kind of anything. Oh, you're from blank. Oh, you're a blank. Oh, you're this. Come here. I gotta. What? Like, it's very, I don't know. It's very scary. And then when they go into the party, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do see in a little bit, but the sign for the club is makeshift
Yeah, no shit.
at
Like,
best.
did you guys just make that today?
This is not a permanent
Dude,
space.
You tell me how the sign looked better on the flyer.
Yeah. Well, they had to make copies of those.
True.
So that was-
It's gotta.
We're going to put all our money into,
It's gotta pop.
into the graphic design.
you said it was a bicep, though, right?
A veiny bicep.
It could be more masculine than that. But the three men descend a staircase that grows increasingly seedier and seedier as it continues on. A ton of graffiti, a man passed out on the ground who may or may not be dead, and some guy just openly pissing on the floor.
Yeah.
They follow lit candles deeper into the club, catching the attention of the club goers when they walk in. The place is crowded, but they bump into Claude quickly and briefly, with him telling them to enjoy the party and that he's glad they could come. After Claude walks off, Brad asks Andy if he thinks Claude is boinking Seraphine, which Andy is not pleased to entertain the thought of at all.
Look around.
Yeah.
Look around at your surroundings and see that you know no one here.
No.
They all seem to know each other, though.
Yeah.
And you've been invited to this last minute, and the place is makeshift at best.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You think Seraphine and Claude are fucking?"
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Dude,
no shit.
That again.
That was graphic.
It was Brad. It's not me. Or Chris. I don't fucking know. They're the same
dude.
They're the same. Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, here's where I'm really upset, because this is the tone of the film, because if you look at this on paper, you can make this very creepy.
Oh,
yes, it is
Yeah,
creepy.
it is. Yeah.
You're actively working to make it not creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just the situation alone, it's ripe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're doing this shit.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. And you bringing it up, maybe that is. They're continuing to insert things to try to make them funny when they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because it is. Even if they're down there, it's, hey, man, I don't know if Seraphine is here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, oh, we fucked up.
We can ratchet up the tension every moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was clearly a lure, because even when he's like, "Oh, I don't know, she'll be there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Oh, okay.
why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah.
Now let's move it to the next skit, and we're here. And
Yeah.
It's like, what?
But already over it, Andy says that he's just going to go back to the villa to see if Seraphine is back. But Chris offers to go for him, telling him to stay here just in case Seraphine shows up. Andy thanks him, and Chris exits the club. But we immediately cut to Chris at the front door of the villa, ringing the doorbell once again. He calls out to Seraphine in the night under the light of the full moon. But when he hears dogs barking from a window at the cellar, he goes over to investigate. He removes a grate to get a better look, and as he peers through the window, he finds Seraphine down there in a bathrobe behind the metal bars of what appears to be a cell.
Now we're looking through her windows.
Well, this is the
I
second
mean, I
time
guess we already did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's doing a lot here.
Well, yeah.
You had to remove that grate
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
to get down there. And clearly you see her like telling him, go away. Like
Yeah.
she's like, shoo,
Very
get out of
clearly.
here. And he's like, no, I'm coming in. No. Okay, I understand the safety, dude.
She's telling
chilling.
you.
Yeah, she's not.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris calls out to her, and she begs him to go away. So naturally, he kicks open the window and jumps into the cellar. Seraphine asks him what he's doing here and begs him to leave. He supposes that this is some kind of kinky game.
Why?
I don't know.
Yes, she set this all up waiting for you
Yeah.
to come and kick her window in. Yeah, this is all part of
He's
it.
like, I like the guy hiding behind the menu with the rest of
Yeah. That's my type.
But Seraphine just asks him where his friends are. When he tells her they're at Claude's party and hands her his flyer, yeah, he brought it with him. Seraphine responds in fear, telling Chris that his friends are in grave danger and to grab the key from the wall. He snags it and unlocks the cell, but Seraphine tells him to stay here because it's far too dangerous for him there. Chris calls her hot pants and tells her to hold on, but she just socks him in the face, knocking him out. Now, again with the editing, this punch is a mile away.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And again, we all saw her super strength at the cafe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Why are you fucking with her?
Yeah, that's true. She just broke his neck.
Yeah. If she really didn't want to be in that cage, she could have bent the bars.
Yeah. No shit.
But back at Club du La Lune, Andy and Brad sip green drinks as they get unwanted attention from clubgoers. One frightens them with a growl, while another recognizes that they're Americans, says that he loves Americans, but crushes his cup at them almost threateningly.
Why do y'all keep saying that?
Yeah.
Like, that's scary, dude.
Yeah. And I will say this makes no sense for him to be saying that for what we see later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he's uncredited, so I can't even. Guy with ponytail, played by guy with ponytail. But back at the villa, Chris wakes up on the floor of Seraphine's cell, locked inside. He notices an area of the cellar that's curtained off, and he hears what sounds like a ventilator and the beeping of a heart rate monitor.
She left him a food bowl.
That was nice. That was nice.
That was nice.
It was. And maybe, I mean, it might not have been for him. It might have been,
For her?
well, think
She
about
was
it.
in there.
Yeah, think about it.
All right.
I mean, they could have given her a plate.
You're still
They didn't have to do
whatever.
How committed are we to this? Well, you know, it is easier for them to eat.
Anyway,
No, dogs. You ever seen a dog eat?
a dog.
Yeah.
A dog can still eat off a plate
Yeah, that's true.
and
Yeah.
and have some damn dignity.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, we'll get to that in a minute. But Chris calls out for help, but gets no reply. We see Seraphine riding her bicycle like the wind to Club du La Lune, just in time to see the bouncer boarding up the front door with a wooden plank. She steps off of her bicycle, demanding to be let inside, and the bouncer just asks if Claude is expecting her. She tells him to let her in, clutching his arm and asking with quickening breaths if he'd rather she stay out here with him.
Why are they speaking English?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think that it's pretty clear. I mean, I won't say what it is, but even watching this for the first time, that there's something going on with her.
yeah.
Well, I did say the dog thing earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was shocked that it seemed as though the bouncer is aware of this
Yeah.
because she's like, "You can stay out here with me,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "Whoa."
Well, but and it makes,
Ruh-roh.
and it makes no sense again when we see the bouncer later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it seems as though also
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
so he shouldn't give a shit.
No, that's why it was at this point I was like, "Oh, okay," and then later I'm like, "But wait, like that's okay, whatever."
Well, he quickly changes his mind when she threatens him with this, and she removes the plank of wood to let herself inside.
I think I'm trying to think about it listening to you guys. Maybe we can talk about it later. Why he's like, oh, okay, and just kind of let her go by. Because there's something later that's said, and it's like, okay, maybe, but other than that,
Please
yeah.
bring it up.
Well, I'm not trying to defend the movie, but I'm trying to make sense of things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sense of things that don't, you know what I mean? That
that's
are going
fine.
on.
Yeah. But downstairs, Andy sips his drink as he watches Claude form a circle with 3 other men, and they all begin to chant together. Seems normal.
Yeah.
Seraphine rushes to him, grabbing his arm and telling him that they have to leave. She tells him to do as he's told and rushes for the exit. Someone tries to stop them, but Seraphine just tells him, he's mine. And the man lets them leave.
This is when I was like, oh, so it's all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did want to point out as well, there's a lot of people that I just say the man, the other guy, whatever.
Yeah.
This werewolf.
Yeah.
There are just people that are credited as lycanthrope, and they don't have a name.
That's crazy.
And so I don't know who is who here.
Yeah.
So I did the best I could. But Seraphine guides Andy back upstairs with a lantern, and Brad just watches them leave when someone points his attention in their direction.
I was going to say, so fuck Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Claude goes over to the man who was guarding the door, seizes his throat, and pushes him against the wall. He admonishes him in French and then releases him, motioning for him to help capture Seraphine and Andy. Brad rushes off into the tunnels with a lantern as well, and we also see the bouncer tossing the poorly painted sign for Club du La Lune into the back of a truck because this was obviously a front for something sinister.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's not a real club.
It was a pop-up.
Yeah, no shit.
One night only. But back in the cellar of the villa, Chris undresses himself, tying his clothes into a length of rope to snag the key to the cell from the wall. The third time's the charm, and he's able to knock the key from the wall and drag it back into his cell.
I had a thought, and I was like, if I had, before this happened, and I was like, if I had like a sheet or something I throw on, and then he gets undressed and does that, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
that works.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty smart.
Yeah. It made me think Adam Stanheidt from Saw.
Yeah.
He's like, I just watched American Werewolf in Paris last night. I have an idea, Dr. Gordon.
I got this.
But back at the club, Seraphine finds a large hole in the wall and tells Andy that he has to climb through it and get out of here. Andy responds confused, but leans in to kiss Seraphine. As they kiss, she digs her nails into his back. She pulls away, telling him that he has to leave now before it's too late. When Andy responds confused again, saying that they were just getting started, Seraphine yeets him through the hole.
What?
Somebody needs to fucking eat him somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
Did you say
To the
yeet
sun.
or eat?
Yeet, both either.
To the sun.
Yeah.
This is
Jeez.
unbelievable. Something he says in a second, I had to
Oh.
pause it because I was like, I can't believe this.
No.
It's bad.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, JP.
Yeah, thank you. Happy birthday.
Spreading joy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy responds like a sitcom as Seraphine stands at the opening in the wall, breathing heavily. She paws at her face, which appears to have changed structure, telling him to leave because his life is in danger. He goes, "Why? Is Claude your boyfriend?"
Dude, I needed a break.
Yeah, I almost
needed a
drop
break.
kicked the TV.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
what
all.
are you talking about?
She's mid-transformation.
yeah.
Her face.
Physically?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Not, are you okay?
Yeah.
Is something wrong?
So you're not into me?
yeah.
I got nothing.
Is that a snout?
Yeah.
Anything.
I'm just that's a better question.
Is Claude your boyfriend?
And he asks, like, "Were you?
Girl.
No, the way
Yeah.
he asked.
Were you keeping this from me?"
Oh my God.
But her voice grows deeper, and she begins throwing bricks at him, telling him to run for his life, and he finally, reluctantly leaves.
He's like, so you're breaking up with me?
Yeah.
Claude is your boyfriend. But back inside the club, several men begin transforming, their necks growing thicker, veins bulging, and some other club goers take notice of this. In the tunnel, Seraphine gazes up to the sky through a grate in the ceiling, standing in the light of the full moon. Her head cocks to one side, her skin growing rough and her eyes glowing yellow. She rips her clothes off, revealing her naked torso, which has grown larger and pulsates with bulging veins and muscles. Past her skirt, Her legs have become covered in hair, and her knees buckle and point backwards as she falls on all fours. She howls in her new form, having become a werewolf.
A werewolf?
Yeah.
Where is the wolf?
Is
the real question.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
Again, after what we got in London,
Right.
That's yes.
this is what you saw fit to serve to us.
That was the biggest travesty to me because it's literally one of the, if not the best part of the original film.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the most iconic thing that everyone points to and remembers. One of the greatest special effects sequences of all time.
Yeah.
That still holds up over
Yes.
40 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I feel like I was still like, okay, it's just a little airborne. It's still good. Like, we're going to get to this epic moment.
Yeah.
And what really bothers me is the fact that it was practical
Yeah.
in London. So it's like, even if you're like, well, it was 97, like graphics. Okay, then why are you using them?
Yeah.
Why are you using them?
And it's clearly cheaper to not use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was astounded. I was hurt. I was devastated. I did see in that little feature thing that I had watched on YouTube that Peter Lloyd, I think he's with Santa Barbara Studios, he was talking about the look that they were going for. And he said that they went through a lot of different like ways that they were going to have the faces look of these werewolves, and that they came to the conclusion that the more human the face looked, the more intelligent and frightening that it was.
I disagree.
What?
The design does not work for me at all.
No.
And what made me laugh, and I had to rewind it to get exactly what he said, because he said that for the muscle structure, they borrowed from, quote, every type of animal we could borrow from.
Thank you
Why?
for narrowing it down.
Yeah. Why?
I laughed out loud, and then it like cut to something else. What are you talking about?
A parrot? Yeah, throw that in there.
Yeah.
Hell
It's
yeah.
all good, dude.
Yeah, give her a beak. That's a werewolf.
Yeah.
are
Don't
scary.
understand.
Yeah, that made me laugh out loud, because he's just like, the face, da-da-da, like more human, it's more intelligent, it's frightening, and then the body.
Yeah.
We kind of
Just all
gave
of
up. We decided as a team to give up.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see what this is now. Like, this was, I was barely holding on, but I was holding on. Like,
All right.
because there, at the end of the tunnel, there is going to be something. There's going to be something.
Yeah.
And then seeing this, it's like, oh, no, there's not. There's not.
No.
This is just what this movie is.
Yeah.
I watched a making of featurette where they showed the filming of this scene. And you see Julie Delpy, she has makeup on her face that is like the beginning of this transformation. And you see that they start with some level of practical effects.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seemed almost kind of miserable because the way that they've shot this portion, she has to match exactly every single take because these are plates that are going to be used later
Yeah.
to add these CG effects.
Okay.
And so I can't even imagine how frustrating and annoying that must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just imagining them telling her, no, it's going to look great
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
And then when you see it and you're like, you know.
And
Yeah.
what is even more bothersome is we do get some practical effects later, not in the werewolves.
No.
But we do get some later that I think look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And
They-
it's like they what they did there looks infinitely better than any werewolf anything that we're given in this.
Right.
So it just, I mean, I don't know. It was a huge bummer because I couldn't say enough good about the transformation scene in An American Werewolf in London.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's perfection. It's so fucking good. This was just like, I was like, really?
Yeah. And it makes you think, I mean, I remember whenever they did the quasi remake, but really a prequel to The Thing.
Yeah.
And whenever they did that and they relied so heavily on CG, and I know the whole story about them actually starting with practical and then it being converted to CG. But when you have a film that is literally, we're known for our practical effects.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. To be like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what do you think people are expecting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is it just feels like they set themselves up almost.
Now, I don't know how true this is,
Okay.
but in looking up stuff for this, I had ran across a thing or heard that they said this was one of the first movies where they used complete CGI for the werewolves in the movie.
I could see that.
That doesn't work, man.
Yeah.
They look. It's.
Well, here's the thing, and I think it's a matter of when we had Burns and Stern's script.
Yeah.
And you have people like Phil Tippett and people like Tony Gardner and people who are very versatile in bringing these elements together.
Right.
And it's their expertise to make it look seamless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how you have a $25 million film and you don't keep them
Yeah.
when they express an interest or show an interest in doing this film.
That's astounding because I'm still convinced that they had dinosaurs when they made Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that was not. Yeah, they lied to all of us.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And that was before this.
Yeah, nobody
No
worked on that
shit.
film.
So it's like, you don't fucking tell me.
And
It's beyond.
I read there are over 200 shots of special effects in this film. Of CG effects. I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't know. When you think about, again, that's the reputation of of London.
Yeah.
It's baffling and it kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
But in POV vision that looks kind of like a video game, Seraphine climbs through the hole in the wall. Inside the club, it is mayhem. Under flashing lights and loud music and frantic shots where you can't really tell what's happening exactly, 3 to 4 werewolves, I'd say.
Give or take.
give or take. Begin feasting on clubgoers.
I was like, oh, so they all brought snacks.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's what the Americans were.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did see as well in the featurette is that they did have people who were wearing like the top half of werewolf, almost like a werewolf puppet.
Okay.
And so they did model full models in practical. They just weren't meant to be seen unless it was these frantic shots.
Okay.
And so they look a little bit better than what we see otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's because they're hidden
Yeah. Yeah.
and it helps.
Yeah.
But back in the tunnel, Brad finds his way to the hole in the wall with his lantern, calling out for Andy. He finds a patch of hair at the entrance, and I guess he assumes that it's Andy's because
Yeah.
he just heads deeper inside.
Andy sheds a lot.
That Andy. But he calls out to his friend, saying that it sounds like the party is finally getting started up there.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having a blast.
They're like, help us!
Yeah. What the fuck?
The wolf is eating!
You can hear them.
Yeah, like, man.
They're like, ooh,
Sounds like a lot of fun.
he's having FOMO.
We better get back up there, Andy. But we see the real horror of the situation as all the clubgoers rush to the exit in a frenzy, some of them dispatched by a computer-generated werewolf along the way. They reach the door, which has been boarded up by the bouncer. He slides open the hatch on the front, apologizing and telling them, members only, no scum allowed.
That comes into play later, that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't remember that he said that, but that does, whatever.
But he does, this feels like he's a henchman.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like what we see later.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because this dude he's literally outside with the full moon right now.
Yeah.
He's closer to it than anybody.
Yeah. And nothing.
No. So I don't get it.
And he was scared to be out here with Seraphine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
He's like, well, she's much more powerful.
You saw how strong she is.
Yeah.
We all know that. Everybody knows that. But the hatch bursts open again, and a hand reaches for him. But as he pulls back from it, a severed arm remains clutched to his shirt. But back in the cellar, the sound of the heartbeat monitor is going wild as Chris approaches the curtains after getting his clothes back on.
He got dressed so leisurely.
Yeah.
Like you didn't just free yourself from a cage.
Yeah, no
Like,
shit.
there was no urgency.
Well, he's treated nothing serious.
You're
No.
right.
So this, I guess, shouldn't be too much.
He's
Yeah.
all eating from the bowl. It's like, dude, you're just rolling with the punches.
It was beef. Had the juice and everything. But when he finally takes a look inside, he finds a werewolf strapped to a hospital bed with its legs missing. It snarls at him, and in its hunger, topples the bed onto its side. Chris rushes for the door, grabbing a metal spoon to try to unlock it when it won't open. The werewolf continues clawing for Chris, dragging the hospital bed and the heart rate monitor along with him. Chris finally opens the door, only to find that it's actually a closet with fully loaded shelves. He climbs up the door, leaping over the hospital bed, and makes a hasty retreat out of the window that he broke into.
My upper body strength could never.
Like, well, I'm just stuck here forever.
Yeah, I'll just lay down and let him eat me. But this is he did everything right down here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a reminder to mind your own fucking business because some weird shit's going on down here. But, you know, faced with the bad situation that he put himself into, he did everything. You know, he ran, he fucking got the key. I was surprised because he seems like a fucking idiot in every scene before this.
Well, he should have left as soon as he got out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Let me go investigate.
No.
Are you okay, sir?
Again, we're not from here. We don't know what's going on. We don't know anybody. We don't have any friends, any relatives here. I need to go.
And I should be worried about my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She told me.
Yeah.
They're in grave danger.
And then
I'm like,
locked me in the cell.
What's behind this
And
curtain?
he's like, that's kind of hot. Trying to do something or what? That's all he's cared about.
That is true.
Yeah.
I will say, as he jumps through the window, we do see a shot of lab equipment on a table in the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
So we're setting something up.
Yeah.
But back in the tunnels, Brad continues on, calling out for Andy. When he hears growling down a dark pathway, he raises his lantern to it and finds eyes at the other end blinking at him.
They look super chill.
Yeah.
Looks fine.
See, and I will say this again, these moments could be played for much more horror.
Yeah.
It's frightening to stare down a dark corridor and see two eyes blinking at you.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't work. But before he can make heads or tails of it, a werewolf bursts out of the shadows and growls at him. He drops his lantern in fright, and it explodes into flames on the ground, illuminating the creature before him. It leaps for him, and we see in shadow as it mauls him to death. Blood pours out of a water runoff, followed shortly by Brad's corpse, blood filling the surrounding waters, imbuing it with a crimson hue.
His piercings are getting infected in heaven now.
Yeah.
Is this a rat race again?
That's what I know him from. I was a little surprised that he was the one to go. Was I the only one?
Well, because he had been more sincere to
Yeah.
Andy.
I mean, I guess maybe that's why for what happens later, but I felt like Chris was a little more expendable.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, too fast. The werewolf in the cellar. I was just a little surprised at the way it all shook out.
Indiana Jones through the window.
Yeah. No. But yeah, for later.
Yeah,
maybe
I guess.
That's why.
Yeah. But at this point, I was like, really?
Yeah. And I will say that I really appreciated what they did in American Werewolf in London with the lore.
Yeah.
Because that's a very fascinating aspect that I had never heard of it.
No, me neither.
But what they do here, they just kind of do it to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we know.
Yeah.
But elsewhere in the tunnels, as a rat is going to town cleaning himself up, Andy ventures onward, calling out for Brad and Seraphine.
Why are you calling Seraphine? She's throwing bricks at you, dude.
And she was a monster, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me.
Dude, that was the thing.
Ah!
But he, of course, makes some kind of sitcom wisecrack, and he goes, "Come to Paris. Check out Les Drains." Now, there are so many moments in this film that you can just hear the laugh track after.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it just does not work for me. And I just want it to work so bad. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
But Andy spots a figure at the end of the tunnel. It also spots Andy and breaks into a run on all fours, chasing after him. He's able to close a fence to keep the werewolf at bay momentarily, but it eventually crashes through, accidentally impaling itself on a sharp metal spike. Andy makes a break for it, trying to exit out of a pipe like he's Mario. With his legs still sticking out, the werewolf chomps down on his ankle. He screams, but he's able to break away, pushing through the grate above and pulling himself halfway out of the pipe. I say halfway Because he looks up at the sky, he winces in pain, and the scene just cuts.
Yeah.
That's it. You're done. Get out of here. That's all the film we had today.
See, okay, I thought too. I was like, so did the werewolf hurt himself? What the fuck happened there?
With the impaling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he jumps in there. He's got his drumsticks dangling out. It's like, dude, this is just foolish. Just foolish.
Very funny.
Drumsticks.
That's what they
He
are.
did.
Well, then to him they are.
Yes.
He didn't even pull his legs up.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you do that?
I will say, of course, the impaling is something we'll see why later.
Yeah.
Why it's important. Something very weird that I saw on a featurette is they showed them building the set for this the water work or waterways or whatever
Yeah.
underneath Paris. And they showed that, but then they also said that they actually filmed at the water tunnels
Yeah.
underneath Paris. So I don't know which is true.
Are they aqueducts?
Huh.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Spillways.
Yes,
Sure.
the spillways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I said. Yeah.
Edit it in. It's just John Paul's voice. You know the,
And the
spillways
spillways.
in Paris.
Yes. I should have known that. But Andy wakes up in a bed, surrounded by the loud buzzing of flies. He surveys the room and finds a single fly caught in a spider web. This is alarming. That didn't used to happen. He sits up, calling out for Seraphine, and we find her in the kitchen, removing a couple of hearts from the fridge and placing them on a cutting board. Chris watches through the window from outside, not even trying to hide himself.
Nope.
Yeah.
Also not sure why Seraphine put the hearts on a cutting board when she just pops them into a blender.
Yeah.
She's like, let's dirty up this cutting board.
Yeah.
But she yawns as her smoothie blends up quite nicely.
She is pressing the buttons on the blender with blood all over her fucking hands.
Yeah.
I was like, wash your hands. Like
Yeah.
and you got the cutting board dirty for no fucking, like you're just making a mess.
I just think of Gordon Ramsay with the cross-contamination.
Yes!
Yeah.
Getting pissed off at people. Oh, he should never see this.
He's seething.
Yes. But upstairs, Andy looks at a framed photograph, presumably of Seraphine's parents. But this is interrupted by the sound of a pebble hitting his window. It's Chris, who had no way of knowing that Andy was in this room at all.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
But when Andy opens the window, Chris tells him to get out of the house now. This house is huge, by the way.
Yeah.
Huge. It's gorgeous.
It is.
It has like the ivy on it.
Yeah.
It's like my dream house. But you're right. He's never even been inside.
Yeah, I didn't think
No.
about that either.
He just threw them at every
Yeah.
window.
It's like Andy's got to be in there, dude.
Oh my God.
But he says that they have a mutant in the cellar and that French girl is a freak. But the subtitles did not say French girl. They said bridge girl.
What?
And they've never been at a bridge in this
No.
film.
She's a troll, actually. Doobie, please call me. We can work something
I was
out.
like, this is
You
unbelievable.
can't go on like this.
But Seraphine enters the room carrying a glass of the proper red stuff, startling Andy, who whacks his head on the window pane. She tells him that he needs to lie down in bed and rest. He asks what happened last night, but she just tells him to relax so she can look at his leg. As she unwraps the bandage, he tells her that he was attacked by a big, wild dog. He said it had grand yellow eyes, beaucoup teeth, and he's like, do you guys have rabies here? It's the world, so yeah.
Yeah.
Lil ABs. Are you familiar? Wait. Oh, no.
I still don't get dog. I would think
Yes.
the size maybe bear or something.
Yeah. And the way it was chasing you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just don't. Oh.
What dogs do you see that look like that?
Those are French dogs.
No.
They're
Shit.
vicious.
Seraphine assures him that he doesn't have rabies. Sidebar, I did read that it takes anywhere from like weeks to show symptoms of rabies, and sometimes
Yeah.
they show up 2 years later. And so if you think that you might have rabies, you might want to go get checked out.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, just a Podborn and PSA. Put this on in the car on your way to the hospital.
And then tell all the hospital staff about it.
Yes, we'll send you some business cards. But Andy sees the wound on his leg, and he remarks that it's healing very fast. It looks horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why it wasn't just like a small scar or something. After we saw the chomp, it would have been more interesting if it was something smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he learns that he's only been here for a few hours. Seraphine tells him that it's his new metabolism. She hands him the glass of heart juice, telling him that he'll feel better after he drinks it. He asks what it is, because he hates Clamato.
What?
This isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry, but I'd be like, is this fucking blood?
Yeah.
It smells like blood. It's right in front of my face.
Yeah, no, I can smell.
I can smell. And I can smell really good because I'm a werewolf.
Right, my allergies are gone. What the fuck?
Asthma disappearing. This is beyond.
But she just tells him that it tastes different, but it's all natural. Andy hears the fly buzzing again and realizes that something strange is going on with him, telling Seraphine that he has to go. Seraphine shushes him and climbs on top of him, telling him to please listen. She takes her shirt off, revealing her bare breasts, and places Andy's hands on them, saying that it should relax him. Andy is confused, saying that the last time they met, she was throwing bricks at him. He just stares at her, smiling a goofy smile as she tells him that he needs to listen. He's not the same as he used to be. She says that there's something that she has to tell him, but he has to promise not to freak out. She reveals to him that the injury on his leg was not from a dog. It was from a werewolf.
This is a lot to take in. This was kind of ridiculous. It's like, yes, I appreciate the titties. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. I'm still a fucking werewolf. At the end of the day, this did nothing to help me.
I'm still a creature of the night.
It's nice, but
I do appreciate it deeply, but it's not helping at all.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah.
Like my leg. Can we talk about my leg?
But Andy just laughs at her. But she tells him that she's serious and that he has become a werewolf too. He tells her that he gets it. It's not Cinderella anymore. It's Little Red Riding Hood. He assures her that whatever kinky game she wants to play, he's in. And then he starts howling like a wolf. Now, Andy has never been this.
No.
And that's the thing later on as well. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
It's just annoying. At this point, if I'm Seraphine, I'm swearing off American men. Because that's two that I've tried to warn at this point, and they're like, ooh, kinky. It's like, dude, you're gonna fucking die. Like,
Drink this heart juice.
I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
But he continues howling like a fool. But we see Seraphine re-enter the room to find Andy howling incessantly and cupping the imaginary breasts of an imaginary Seraphine on his lap. She wakes him up, placing a glass of heart juice on his nightstand before straddling him again. She tells him that he needs to relax, and she goes to take her shirt off again, only this time her torso is covered in hair, and she snarls at him as a werewolf with glowing yellow eyes. He screams.
As one does.
What the fuck is going on?
I was like, not a double dream.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. There was a sequence in London,
Right.
that seemed dreamlike and of course was iconic.
Yeah.
Is this their version of that?
I
guess.
know that I have it in my notes later on, but probably because after a certain point, it just feels like, okay, we're ticking every box from London.
True.
Okay, we transform, check. Okay, we have this component of this character, check. Okay, dream, check. It's like, it's not a checklist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
But-
I could see that.
They did the checklist, but they skipped the most important items.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what they put on their list, they did check off.
Yeah.
They did check off. They
Yeah, I
did
know.
Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's moon or whatever. I don't know.
It's a werewolf movie.
Yeah.
But Andy wakes up again, this time with Seraphine still topless and sitting on top of him. She puts his hands back on her breasts and tells him that he was just hallucinating, which is normal for the transition period. He double checks that she actually told him that he's a werewolf, and she tells him that he is, and it isn't a joke. Suddenly, a shadow appears behind them, and a woman's voice mutters, "I told you this would happen." Seraphine turns around, covering her breasts by leaning onto Andy, and shouts, "Mommy." This is Seraphine's mom, Mrs. Pigot, played by Isabelle Constantini. I did see that Isabel Constantini was part of the Luxembourg casting for the film.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So that's interesting that she got a role.
Yeah.
This is where we lose me.
Yeah.
Because from what I've read, and it's not expressed completely in the film, this person who is Seraphine's mother is supposed to be Alex Price from the original Ginny Agate.
What?
Yes. So her mother is supposed to be Alex Price from An American Werewolf in London. Thierry Pigot is her stepfather, and her father is David.
Huh.
But that's never expressed.
Yeah.
No. And that would have been interesting if you had conveyed that at all. Because her name.
No, well, you hear she has an English accent, and that's supposed to be
That's it?
I guess, because they don't say anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, she is a well-rounded character that's introduced and kept throughout the film, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you know.
So of course,
This is when I have in my notes that I'm like, okay, so now we're doing the undead thing.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was sure that her mom was going to be some kind of major component in figuring out what's going on or anything.
Right.
So maybe I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
Because I did rewatch An American Werewolf in London, but I did it while I was working on my script.
Okay.
I don't remember these ghosts being able to be seen by every werewolf.
See,
Yeah.
okay, that I have. Yes, that's an issue I have later on because I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
we can all see that.
It's like, yeah, it's right there.
I thought it was just our own, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That was
Okay,
it.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But Andy tries to smooth over an awkward situation and asks Seraphine if she'll introduce him to her mother. But Mrs. Pigot just says that he wouldn't want to meet her. She isn't as attractive as she used to be. And her voice sounds clearly added in post.
Absolutely. Why in that moment, even if you think that none of the werewolf shit is happening, even if you think that this is this woman's mother walking into the room, would you be like, well, are you going to introduce me, babe? She's fucking topless.
Yeah.
Hiding herself. Like, what is wrong with this guy?
Again, this is Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just clueless.
Because I remember, and I know that character is very important in this film, but the thing is, Andy on the train.
Yeah.
He loves love.
He loves love. He was correcting them on their bullshit. This is just weird.
Yeah. I didn't remember how I want to say cringy this is. But it did. I was just like, I don't like what's happening here.
No.
I'm not enjoying this. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but it's not. Yeah, but I'm not.
But Andy tries to pshaw this notion, but remembers Seraphine said that her mother was dead. He looks into a mirror and sees the ghoulish visage of Seraphine's mother standing at their bedside. He leaps out of the bed, and Seraphine chastises him, saying that he scared her mother away.
Sorry?
Yeah.
And again, what? Sorry, all due respect to Mrs. Pigot, what reaction?
Yeah, what did you expect? On the cool, I mean, she's dead. What do you want me to do?
You are a ghoul.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to accept that.
Let me get him. How do you do?
At some point.
And then when people freak out, you're like, ah! And then you run away. Like it
Yeah. It's my fault.
It makes no sense. But Andy is over it, and he says that his friends were right. She's nuts. Stealing hearts from hospitals, monsters in the basement, and werewolves. Seraphine asks to let her explain, but he doesn't want to hear it. As he goes to make his exit, Seraphine offers him the glass of heart puree once more, but he declines it. Mrs. Pigot reappears again, mauled and dead, telling him to do as Seraphine says and scaring the shit out of him.
So how is this her problem, or she nuts or whatever? You seen her mom.
That's real.
You
Yeah.
just said that you felt funny before she put your hands on her.
Yeah.
You heard the fly. You had this weird dream. What? But oh no, you're crazy, not me. You're experiencing
Yeah,
this
what?
too.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can have this morning and be like, Chris and Brad were right.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. But again, I said that she scared the shit out of him. And so to make his exit, Andy leaps through the window, shattering through it and landing on the ground unscathed. Now, if he doesn't believe that he's a werewolf, why would he ever attempt this?
Yeah. Why would he do fucking anything that he's done, dude? He's like, I can be launched to the ground, bounce, pull, come back up, hit my head on a fucking beam on the Eiffel Tower, and I'm fine the next day.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's like a little jump from the house.
And he's
nothing.
He's a superhero.
I'm Spider-Man.
Do you understand?
Really?
But he dresses himself as he runs away, and Chris steps out of the bushes to call out to him, but he's quickly silenced by Claude, who seizes him and puts a hand over his mouth. Claude mutters again that he loves Americans before dragging Chris away.
I just wanted to point out that there's no way that Andy didn't hear Chris calling him.
No.
Yeah.
And he's just
Well, if he's hearing those flies, he can hear them.
Yeah, no shit.
And then later, never mind.
And you knew he was outside.
Yeah. And dude, I'm sorry, but okay, so he hears those flies, and later he's never like, will you guys be quiet?
No, it was just the one time.
Flies, yeah. Because we see him in a restaurant soon, and it's or we see him everywhere.
Yeah.
And
he's
at
fine.
no point he's having regular conversations.
No shit.
I don't know. But we then see a hand being fingerprinted on a table, only to pull back and reveal that it is a crime scene technician fingerprinting the hand of a severed arm.
That was pretty cool.
That was,
Yeah.
I like that. Andy arrives on the scene, the site of the pop-up Club de la Lune, and finds it littered with corpses, limbs, and police.
Looks like that party was to die for, right?
Brad was right. They were really
Having a great time.
But he rushes over to the railing just in time to see personnel on police boats pulling Brad's body from the water. Distraught, Andy is approached by Inspector Leduc, played by Tom Novembre, in a very ill-fitting suit.
Thank you. I was distracted by that jacket.
Do you remember when we were in high school theater and we
Yes.
just had to pick what they had?
Yes. It's just whatever's on the rack. It can fit or it
Whatever was
doesn't
left
fit.
over.
Yeah. That's
like-
literally what that was.
It's awful.
Yes.
But he asks Andy if that was a friend of his. Andy nods solemnly as Leduc introduces himself, smoking a pipe. We cut to Andy at the police station, sitting across from Chief Bonet, played by Maria Machado. She looks over the flyer from Club de la Lune as Detective Ben Boo, played by Ben Salim Bouabdallah, very loudly strikes a match for his cigarette.
I am not trying to make everything about me. I promise. But that party did happen on my birthday.
Just saying.
I just want it to be known.
Bonet asks Andy why every corpse they found has its heart missing. She asks if it's a ritual sacrifice and if he's the member of a sect. Andy denies any wrongdoing, saying that he was chased last night by some kind of wild animal. This gets the attention of Leduc and Professor Martin, played by Jean-Claude Duray. The professor is promptly told by Bonet to test Andy for drugs.
What?
Yeah, it's always drugs. You know what is actually really fucking funny? The fact that they printed out flyers at all.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Like, if you think about it,
Well-
it could have really been a word of mouth. Like, hey, follow me. Oh, you really want to see Paris? I'll show you Paris, whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like,
Well,
admit one.
he's trying to help. And
That's
they're-
really funny.
It's-
Oh, Andy?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the flyer, I'm laughing now because we got to make this official.
Yeah,
It
that's hilarious.
But, and I mean, at the same time, though, I mean, when you think about it, it does sound kind of unbelievable.
It does. But you have the flyer. I mean, you're like, look at these people and look at how weird the circumstances.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
this was clearly a werewolf party.
Yeah.
Like, check it out.
If I've ever seen one.
You
All
guys
signs
got
point
much of
to
this?
Yeah.
But later outside, Boo lights up a cigarette, watching Andy leave the station. The camera swirls around Andy as every sound around him becomes overwhelming. Conversations, the water of the river, nearby birds. But he comes back to himself when he notices a small dog humping his leg.
This is the lowest.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe my eyes.
I checked to see how much time we had left.
I'm assuming that he passed the drug test because he is just leaving.
Yeah.
But the dog, because I was like, he probably should have drank that heart shake.
Yeah.
And then he looks down and I was like, I can't fucking believe this.
You just lost the point.
I can't believe this.
But later that day in a restaurant, a server brings a steak over to Andy, who is sucking his fingers after finishing a previous steak. Andy complains that the steak isn't rare enough, but he grabs it from the plate anyway and says that he'll eat it while he waits for another one.
Again, so this whole experience has just made you a fucking piece of shit. Because he does not need to talk to him like that.
No, and he continues to be mean to servers.
Yeah. And after what Seraphine told you, this is not weird. This is how you eat.
Oh,
like this is completely normal.
Always. But he tears at it with his teeth very disgustingly as he spies Detective Boo at the bar doing a very poor job of hiding behind a newspaper.
Yeah.
It's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just then, Amy Finch, played by Julie Bowen, walks into the restaurant.
Not Claire Dunphy.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know. I was excited to see her. Again, this is who I was talking about that does the best, especially later. Here I was like, come on. But later on, she's giving everything she's got.
Yeah, and it's the material.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But drums pound as Andy notices her, his eyes drawn to her skirt and what's beneath it. He begins to sniff the air, which gets Amy's attention and the attention of Boo's dog. He's like, you're making us look real bad.
Yeah. I was like, dude, can you stop? Well, I was like, just because the skirt is cheetah print does not mean she smells like a cheetah.
I don't know.
Because immediately it was like,
Yeah.
But Andy begins crawling on all fours as Amy attempts to order a drink in very poor French at the bar. Suddenly, Andy lifts his head up, his nose making contact underneath Amy's skirt. He startles her and he backs away apologizing, but instead of being disgusted by his behavior, Amy lights up, relieved to hear the voice of another American. His face still covered in steak juice, Andy introduces himself and Amy responds in kind. He recognizes her perfume, which I guess is enough to get her to go to him to a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's Sex Panther.
Is that right?
Yeah, it works 60% of the time. All the
it works
time.
every time.
That looks fucking gross. Go wash your face.
Yes.
It's bad.
And your hands, because you were touching the floor and your hands are all sticky.
Ew.
And
You have meat juice all in your hands.
please go.
And I don't. It's so odd to me because anytime that someone's recognized someone as an American, it really leads to some werewolf murder.
Yeah.
So it was odd to see this line used again, but in this way.
Yeah.
But we got to the two of them at a restaurant together. Andy loudly sucking marrow from a bone as Amy slurps up a green bean.
Nasty.
Thank you for that.
It's gross. Who? I don't know. I'd be like, okay, it was nice to, meet another American. I'll see you later. Like, he's nasty.
Well, we're not operating in any kind of logic.
You're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's out the window.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
In his worst French, Andy rudely asks a server played by Peter Riemans for a bottle of wine. When Amy tries to correct his French, he just openly stares down her shirt. He appears to be losing it immediately after and starts to nod off. But when he comes back to himself, he apologizes, saying that he isn't normally like this. Amy just laughs it off, but Andy tells her that the truth is he lost his best friend today.
It was one thing watching it, but sitting here and listening to you be like, then he orders it rudely. Yeah. Then he looks down her shirt. Then he starts nodding off. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, straight up. I was like, that did happen.
Yeah.
It all happened.
Every bit of it.
What is happening?
It's a fucking fever
He's
dream.
like, my friend died.
Yeah, like, what?
What the fuck?
But the server brings over a large platter under a cloche. But when he sets it down on the table and opens it, Brad's decapitated head rests atop a fish entree. He offers a bon appetit, but Andy just jumps back, telling Brad that he's dead and he saw them pull him out of the canal. The server looks down at the platter, which doesn't contain the head of any frat boys, saying that the fish actually came from the Atlantic.
That was when it was revealed to be a fish. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Amy is dying over this, but Brad's entire corpse rises from the table and he tells Andy that they need to talk. We see Detective Boo looking on as Andy screams, telling Brad that he's not real and running to the restroom. Amy falls out of her chair.
Naturally.
I did want to say I did see in a featurette that the makeup for Brad took 4 hours.
Damn.
And then in later states that we see, it took 9.
Whew.
Yeah.
It does look good though.
It does.
It does look good. It has, again, nothing on the makeup.
Of course
Oh,
not.
no, yeah.
That there is a flap of skin in An American Werewolf in London that I look at every single time we see the butchered friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But in the restroom, Andy splashes water on his face, but finds Brad's corpse standing behind him in the mirror. He assumes it's a bad dream, but Brad tells him that he was bitten and he's already changing. His example is that Andy never would have looked at a woman like Amy before. Andy insists that he isn't a wolf and just decides to start peeing at a urinal.
Yeah, you just ate a lot of raw steak. And you were
Yeah.
crawling around on the floor and you were smelling people and you heard everything that Seraphine said. But yeah, no, everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Nope, and that's the problem is that they're selling logic for comedy that doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
And so you have these moments where it's like, why the fuck don't you see that this is strange?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, but he's eating the steak funny.
Yeah.
So
It's like
it all
okay.
balances out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, dude, you've changed. Let me insult this woman out here. She's trash and you're too good for her normally. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Why don't you talk about the way that he just talked to that server?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
way he's scarfing down fucking raw meat. Like maybe.
Or why don't you talk about I'm a corpse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, or the fact that I'm talking to a
Yes,
dead guy.
I've come back from the dead.
Like, you can clearly see me because you're responding.
Yes.
You understand
Yeah.
me.
But no, Amy's trash, right?
Yeah.
Fuck off. This is so annoying.
But Brad finally tells him that he's cursed to walk the earth as a restless spirit until the werewolf that killed him dies.
I think that everyone who is killed by a werewolf gets like a pamphlet and they cross over.
Yeah, it's like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
And it kind of pisses me off because I don't know how other people know this because it comes up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if other, ghosts that we've
Well,
seen.
it's
Yeah.
My werewolf and me.
Yeah.
I give it to you.
So
Very
you've
cool.
been mauled by a werewolf.
Yeah.
But he tells Andy to dump Amy and lock himself up and to do it quickly because the moon is rising. Andy tells Brad that he's just jealous because he's about to score. You're talking to a corpse.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm dead. God.
It makes no sense.
No, and it's not as if he just saw Brad in the mirror and Brad's just in the bathroom. You saw him climb out from a table
Yeah.
like a ghost. Well, very poorly done.
No, yeah.
But,
Even if that, I highly doubt Amy is going to be like, ooh, look at that dead guy.
Yeah.
What? Are you fucking for
Yeah.
real, dude?
He's like, you're just mad 'cause she likes me.
Yeah. Really?
who are you talking to?
What the fuck?
I'm no wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see who you're talking to.
Oh my God.
But he tells Brad that he can't just pop up like this and tell him what to do. He doesn't even know why he's listening to him. He says that he knows Brad is dead, and so do the police. An uncredited man steps out of a stall, hearing all of this, and gets out of the bathroom as fast as he can.
You couldn't have paid me to come out of that stall.
No.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
live here now.
Oh, no,
Until
yeah.
this dude leaves.
Yeah.
No.
So is the joke here that this man thinks that Andy's talking to his business?
Yeah. That's what I took out of
I
it.
hate it here.
Yeah. And no, hey, really, that could have worked in a different way.
I guess.
But not here. That's not. You're.
I'd like to get down now.
Yeah.
But outside, Andy walks with Amy on the streets of Paris, being poorly trailed by Detective Boo. After Boo attempts to look inconspicuous, he loudly sets off a toy at a shop, and he has to steal it and run away to maintain his cover. That actually was kind of funny.
It was.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There are a couple of moments where it's like, oh, I'll
right.
give you that one.
But Andy whispers into Amy's ear where he wants to go and what he wants to do. Amy just proclaims, I love Jim Morrison. We cut to them making out on the candlelit tombstone of Jim Morrison. Mouth by Bush plays as Boo catches up with them and spies at them from behind a tombstone.
This did help.
All right. I'll give you one.
me.
I told you.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Bush, all right.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Julie Delpy is in the music video.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the music video is kind of an American Werewolf in Paris centric.
It is.
I remember seeing clips from the movie on a TV or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a really good song, though.
It is.
He was great in Constantine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the second time
Yeah.
we've gotten to talk about him being a good part of a movie. Although we did love Constantine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Amy begins undressing. But when she hands Andy her shoe, he freezes for a moment, looking up at the moon. I thought in this moment when he's looking at this shoe, looking at the moon, he starts to realize maybe she was right. Maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Because he has that moment and then he's like, no, we're doing this now.
Well, I thought he was thinking of Seraphine.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. I mean, like in the shoe, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like replaying it in his mind, and I thought he was going to run away.
No.
Yeah, no,
He's
no,
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Ow!
Passion suddenly overtakes him and he swoops down upon Amy. I forgot her name. Sorry. Anyway. But just as things are about to begin, Andy begins to transform, and Amy remarks at how hot he feels. Andy immediately takes off running and dives into a fountain to cool off.
So I didn't know if things hadn't started yet or if they were. I just.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say this without getting an email.
I'm worried.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was.
They're making out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I figured.
Because the way that she was reacting, it seemed kind of like things were at a different. There had been injury.
Right. Yes.
And so I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And then he just got up and ran.
I think we need to move on. I think that's an indicator.
Why don't you just cut that whole part out?
After a while, Amy goes searching for Andy, telling him that he forgot his pants. As she admonishes her previous choices of men, Boo skulks around the stones with his dog, and Andy boils the fountain water in the midst of his transformation.
Did anybody else find it funny that Andy is literally our protagonist and he did all his transforming quietly underwater?
Yeah.
And we don't see it.
And I don't remember like anyone steaming under the night as they transform into a werewolf. Was he a part of it? Is that a thing that I don't remember?
I don't know, because even she was like, you're hot.
Yeah.
And he's like,
And he's like, I'm making ramen over here or whatever. In the fountain. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Maybe if it was used before in London.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it was a throwaway line. But here it's just like, I don't remember that being there.
No. And I imagine, it seems like it would be kind of warm.
Yeah, you're
turn into a werewolf.
Yeah, transforming.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
But Amy finally makes her way to the fountain, Boo not far behind, drawing his gun. Suddenly, Andy launches out of the fountain, full werewolf, and in pursuit of Amy, who takes off running. She sprays some of her perfume as a diversion all over the cemetery and eventually hides in a mausoleum. She hiccups but stifles it, only to be frightened by the shadow of something on all fours. She bursts out of the mausoleum, only to discover that it's Detective Boo's dog. He calls out to her, telling her that he's a policeman. She responds relieved and also thankful that he cured her hiccups.
When you started, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you started that sentence, it sounded like the dog was like, I'm a policeman.
Yeah.
Well,
It's okay.
he's a canine. He should have been like, run around. But because the dog begins to bark, and when Amy turns around, she is face to face with the werewolf Andy. He mauls her swiftly, then makes his way over to savage Detective Boo. The camera rises above the cemetery as squelching sounds are heard, and the dog's bark turns to yelps.
It's not fair. The dog did not deserve it. Well,
No.
really, nobody deserved it.
No.
I did want to say, Amy, that was really smart what she was doing with the perfume.
Yeah.
That was surprisingly,
Mm-hmm.
But my next note is, at the risk of sounding like tea, there is not one thing I like about this werewolf.
And you're speaking for both of us.
I'm just saying.
And JP as well.
Yeah, I really wish that they would have looked different. Just a little different. Maybe the face, the something. I don't know.
I think it's definitely the face is not there.
No, yeah.
I don't know. It's just the whole design does not do it for me at all. At all.
No.
It might, and this... It might be the worst. It might be the worst werewolf I've ever seen. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't mean that as a hyperbole. I mean,
What a sentence.
there's nothing about it that, well, at least this is cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I will give one. Because whenever he hops out of the fountain and he shakes the water off, that was all CG.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the water in the hair actually looked pretty good.
I did see in that behind the scenes thing, I almost forgot that they had to come up with a new way to render hair for this.
Really?
So that is interesting. And that I'll give you that.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's
something.
Yeah.
But Andy wakes up naked on the ground, surrounded by flashing cameras, police, crime scene personnel, and the dead dog. Leduc stands there with his pipe and in the same suit from yesterday.
It may be the same day.
Yeah.
They're very fast with time.
He announces that Andy is under arrest, and when Andy asks why, and the dead dog is loaded into a bag, Leduc says that the possibilities are limitless, and Andy is taken away.
Mike would never do that to a dog. He'd just eat him.
No, he'd just eat him.
That's courteous, really.
Yeah.
Waste not, want not. But in the morgue, Leduc shows Andy the mauled corpses of Amy and Detective Boo. Andy asks if this is some kind of sick joke, but Leduc is called away, leaving Andy with the corpses. I don't...
Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of booking him, we're just going to take him to go look at the bodies of the people that we think he killed.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fucking leave him alone.
Yeah.
With them. Okay. Okay.
After a moment, Amy opens her eyes, calling Andy a douchebag and sarcastically telling him that he really knows how to show a girl a good time. Andy refuses to hear this, slamming the drawer shut, but Amy's spirit reappears right in front of him, cursed to the same fate as Brad, to roam the earth restless until Andy dies.
She got the pamphlet.
Yeah.
My Wolf and Me.
Yeah.
But suddenly, Brad appears, telling Amy that if she wants Andy dead, she's going to have to wait. He says that he needs him first, and he tells Andy that he warned him what he might do.
It's so funny that that's Andy's friend, and he's like, "Now you can get him killed.
Yeah.
I just need him to do something first."
No, she'll get you after class, but but Amy is furious to know that he knew this could happen, and she tries to punch him, but her arm goes right through his mouth. I'm laughing at my own note. I just put in parentheses, this film is so misguided.
Misguided. It's like it's a troubled teen that you're worried about.
Better straighten up and fly right. But another werewolf victim from the club pops his spiritual head out of a drawer, which causes Andy to bang his head against the wall, but Brad tells him to pull himself together and get out of here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. This person that's in here that was mauled by a werewolf, he was the one in the club that's like, I love Americans.
Yeah.
You're clearly also a werewolf.
Yeah.
So why, how were you?
I don't know.
I didn't even put that together.
No, I didn't until this time watching it for show, and I was like, hey, that's the guy from the club.
Yeah.
It was an unrelated death. Had nothing to do with any of this.
And can we talk about the restraint of a werewolf that, I guess you have to survive it? Because I was like, we'll maul him, we won't bite him.
Yeah.
But through the window, we see Andy climbing onto one of the drawers and closing himself up inside. Leduc comes back inside to put him under arrest, but can't find him. We cut to Andy somehow escaped and walking the Paris streets with the undead corpses of Brad and Amy.
How did he get out?
Yeah.
Just waited? I don't know. They could have shown that.
It's still daylight.
Yeah.
Dude, this is beyond.
Yeah.
I was like, you're fucking joking.
Andy laments becoming a werewolf and asks if there's any way to become human again. Brad tells him that there is, but he isn't going to like it. He'll have to find the werewolf that bit him, then kill it, then eat its heart. Andy realizes that this means he'll have to kill Seraphine, and he refuses. I do want to say that Brad seems to have the inside knowledge in just about everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like part of him might know how Andy became a werewolf.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're not talking about it.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And as well, if we're not going to blatantly discuss Seraphine's parents,
Right.
how the fuck did she become a werewolf? Become one?
There is a throwaway comment later. Or no, it already happened. When she talks about her blood being stolen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all to me.
There's more.
But you always say, what's next, dude?
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, jump up.
But Andy steps into the street absent-mindedly with Amy, and as a bus speeds towards them, Brad is able to warn Andy just in time. Amy, having warped through the bus as it passes through her, is infuriated that Brad ruined her impromptu murder plot. The two of them argue and are so distracted that they don't notice a car pull up and park on the curb. Out steps Claude and several lycanthrope hooligans who kidnap Andy, stuffing him into the back seat. Amy and Brad don't need to be distracted.
Yeah.
Because what can they really do?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Like, even if they tried to warn him, it's still like 6-on-1.
Yeah, and if this is the case that you can see other people's ghosts, they can see them too.
That's true. They're all wolves.
Yeah.
In the car, Andy tries to cut through the awkwardness and bond with his werewolf brethren. Claude just tells him that he doesn't think Andy appreciates the gift that he's been given. The car stops at a construction site in front of a large, dilapidated church. So I did see on a featurette that they actually found a church that they wanted to use, but they wouldn't let them use the church for this film.
Oh.
So the church that we see in this film that they're about to go into was built by the production from the ground up.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So exterior and interior was built by the production.
That's impressive.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the group heads inside, and Claude tells Andy that as werewolves, they have a mission to purify the world. The bouncer opens a hatch in the floor, and they lead Andy down as Claude continues that all of their victims are the scum of society.
Oh, this is starting to sound a little problematic.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you're like, oh, hey, you guys are...
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. You can't just be evil werewolves?
No.
You have to also be this? Jesus Christ. But he says that the government of the world spent billions on medicine, welfare, and charity, but it only keeps alive the weak and the lazy who multiply and weaken the human race.
Ooh.
They reach a room with an altar, surrounded by candlelight, and Claude tells Andy that all of his men have been chosen for their loyalty and their willingness to become patriots. I do want to say, why the fuck is he like living with Seraphine or whatever?
I don't know.
Espousing these views.
Yeah, no, this is guilty by association.
Yeah,
You're
Seraphine.
co-signing.
I'm upset.
Yeah.
But Claude grabs a knife, pointing it at Andy, telling him that he was an accident, but he doesn't wish to kill him. He instead hopes that Andy will join them to become the new mankind, pure and free of disease and the trappings of technological advances. So I do want to say, first of all, he said that Andy was an accident.
Yeah.
It's kind of like he's almost copping to something.
Yeah.
Openly.
Yeah.
But Andy's like, what about the world?
He was like, I was lost in the moment.
You guys fucking Nazis? He's more focused on that, I think.
For real, though, dude. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's too much for this film.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty floored. I was like, so now we're doing American history X? Or
Yeah.
like, what?
It's too much.
What's happening?
It's a lot.
But Claude asks him concretely, will you join us, Andy? Andy is indecisive and asks for more time to think about it. Claude is surprisingly okay with this, but leads him into a dungeon where Andy finds Chris chained up by his arms. Claude throws the knife at Andy's feet, telling him to kill Chris and cut out his heart to release him.
So what happened to you were an accident and you're not good enough to be one of us?
Yeah.
He changed his mind.
Do you want to? What?
Andy is hesitant, but one of the henchmen knock him down to his knees, and he reluctantly grabs the knife.
I don't, and real quick, I don't think that regular werewolves would mind like iPhones and the technological advances.
You can tell when
Why?
the moon.
Yeah, why?
Yeah,
would
that's
you?
true.
You know?
I think that maybe no, that's
These
mean.
are bad werewolves.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say maybe these werewolves or whoever made these werewolves
Yeah.
should have sworn out technological advances. That was mean. Cut that.
It was a little specific.
I'm just saying maybe. I didn't say they should. I said
No,
maybe.
it wouldn't have hurt anything. But Claude tells Andy to join them. But Andy responds that he'd rather die. And Claude is ready to give him this wish. A fight ensues, Andy disarming one of the goons, but getting slashed by another on the shoulder. He fights his way out of the dungeon, but is immediately surrounded. Suddenly, Seraphine calls out to him from behind the door. She kicks it open, tossing down a Molotov cocktail and grabbing Andy's arm.
Were you hanging out with these guys?
Yeah, we're going to need to talk after you rescue me.
Well, can we talk real quick about how he's leaving his homeboy back
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Just
In the flames.
yeah.
I literally wrote that in here.
Yeah.
Because she pours a gas can behind them as they make their way down a flight of stairs. Once they reach the bottom, she lights it with a torch. I said, so fuck Chris, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that's just it. How is he going to survive that?
Yeah. Well, because he's like, I'd rather die. And then
Yeah.
it's like, whoop,
Yeah.
here's my stop. And
Yeah.
it's just
Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
You get all the points. All
Yeah.
the points.
Yeah.
It's,
I better get all the fucking daredevil
yeah.
points for
I
that.
mean, after everything.
Yeah.
But the CG fire travels up the tunnel, and the henchmen are dissuaded from continuing their pursuit. Seraphine compels Andy to dive through a hole in the floor and into a body of water beneath, and Andy reluctantly does as he's told, with Seraphine following after. She leads the way through a tunnel, which is somehow connected to the cellar of her villa.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that there was fire and it felt like a really lame escape to me
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it was just over.
they just ran.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, for some reason, and I don't see this at all, and I don't get this at all, I've read online a lot that what they travel through and what we see later at the end of the film is supposed to be the catacombs.
What?
No.
Yeah. I don't remember one skeleton,
Yeah.
one skull.
Now, as above, so below.
They got it right.
Yeah,
Those were the catacombs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
I thought that was weird.
yeah.
These are just tunnels.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Maybe even just sewer systems or
Yeah.
something, but not the catacombs.
No. And you get them to shut down the Eiffel Tower, but you can't.
Yeah.
But they climb through a small door in the floor together. But as soon as they're safe, Andy asks her if she knew what Claude planned to do. As it turns out, she did, which infuriates Andy that she did nothing to stop it. Seraphine silences him, however, revealing that they may have found a cure. She opens the curtains to reveal Thierry Pigot, the guy from the beginning, remember?
Yeah.
He's Seraphine's stepfather, which we kind of gave away a little bit earlier.
We did. Yeah. I was just thinking, we probably should have
Yeah,
said that.
like, oh shit. Sorry, everyone. But Andy learns that not only did she do this to him, she also murdered her mother. She had tried so long to control her urges, subsisting on hearts that her mother would procure for her from the hospital.
So her mom was the nurse.
I guess
okay.
so.
So she
Well-
just took the uniform. Yeah.
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 And Alex was a nurse.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
But 2 months ago, Thierry claimed to have discovered a serum that would suppress her lycanthropic cycle, but it turned out to have the opposite effect, and Seraphine immediately transformed and murdered her mother, then chased Thierry through the underground into the city.
Sorry, it's not funny.
Well, you're a shitty inventor.
It's the exact fucking opposite.
You're a bad scientist, dude.
Yeah.
No, this will control everything.
Don't you think
Yeah.
like maybe we put her in the cage and test it out?
No, let's have her
Instead
out
of
here.
just like,
Yeah. No
Instead
shit.
of being like, sit down, honey. You know, you were too confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little too eager.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, carry the one.
Oh, fuck. That gets me every time.
There goes my legs. So,
That's it.
but she says when she came to, she saw that she had butchered her own parents. She asks if Andy understands now why she tried to leap from the Eiffel Tower. Andy tells her that it isn't her fault and embraces her. But as Seraphine tends to his wound, Andy says that they really need to be worried about Chris. I don't know how he thinks Chris is even alive.
Yeah.
He's
Because I didn't.
Yeah. Seraphine just says that Claude is a bastard. But then we immediately cut to the two of them making out in her bedroom, about to start making it sweet, but they're interrupted when Claude's car pulls up outside.
Yeah, I was like, weren't they in the basement? How are they upstairs
Yeah.
immediately?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And also, yeah, things are getting really intense. My friend is probably roasting alive right now.
Uh-huh.
But let's have werewolf sex real quick. What?
This thing
Yeah.
it's edited like the Radioactive Man movie. I just don't understand what even is happening. Like, okay. Never mind.
No, I understand, because normally, all right, werewolf sex, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Not now.
Not now, though.
Andy escapes to the sound of some very misplaced and upbeat alternative music. This film is so confusing.
This is spring break romp. This scene.
Yeah, and how many times are we going to do the naked running with the clothes in the hand?
I don't know.
At least one more.
Yeah.
This whole scene is my boyfriend's home.
Yes.
Whoa!
Yeah.
And then he jumps out the way. Like
Yeah.
that's what this is.
It's-
It's like you're probably wondering how I got here or whatever.
It's like
This is
it feels
not-
like Stop by Jane's Addiction should be playing.
Yeah.
Like that feels
Really, any Jane's Addiction. This is just
You're like they're all frantic.
it's just so weird.
But Seraphine stops Claude as he rushes upstairs, but he directs his men outside to find Andy. He warns Seraphine not to interfere again as his droogs give a Scooby-Doo-like chase. Andy hides between a couple of cars, but Amy's corpse appears, attempting to give away his hiding spot. She goes to whistle for the attention of the werewolves, but instead, blood squirts from her lacerated cheek. But suddenly, the occupants of the two cars, French car driver played by Serge Hugel and British car driver played by John Waller, same last name as the director, but I couldn't find anything
All right.
to say. Well, I didn't see if it was his brother or...
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know.
It's funny because you said the French driver's name all French, and then you should have been like played by John Waller. That would have been great,
Oh, I'm sorry.
isn't it?
I failed. But the two of them get into an argument. Amy holds her cheek to whistle again, but her eyeball pops out and stares down her own shirt. She pops it back in, annoyed. And you know what? I'm annoyed too.
You know what, Amy? Me too. I thought that the bit with the blood and this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You put this in another movie and it hits.
Yeah.
But right now, like, he's supposed to be running for his life from this secret society of fucking racist werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and now she's like, it's just it doesn't work here, but it is funny.
No.
And she's funny doing it. It just feels like a waste.
But Andy straight up steals the French taxi driver's car, tries to drive away, but immediately causes a multi-car accident.
Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious.
It's like, what?
I forgot all about that. It's like, holy shit.
I've never seen somebody accomplish so little with such a grand gesture. He stole a car.
Yeah. The thing is I feel like there are no stakes for Andy.
No.
I know that he has been bitten and turned into a werewolf, but the next morning he is feeling on titties. He's eating steak. He's trying to get it in on fucking Jim Morrison's grave.
Get it in.
Yeah.
It's just
He's trying to break on through.
Yeah.
He's trying to break on through to the other side. There are no. He's lighting her fire. There are no consequences because people are strange. There are no consequences for anything that he does. He's running from this. He's locked in here. He's kidnapped here. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
like he's gonna be fine,
Yeah.
and it's really annoying.
But even hearing you say that, it's like when I complain about villains who just keep getting away with whatever and there is no consequences.
Yes.
It's the same thing here. He just keeps getting in. Shit just keps happening
It's
to him.
Jesse
and he's
Pinkman.
Yes, he kept getting away with it. That's what I felt when he was driving away.
Yeah.
You got out of that too?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But Andy hoofs it over the roofs of cars, the other motorists chasing him as he grabs hold of a passing bus and climbs onto it as it drives away. But back at the villa, Andy returns through the window to find Thierry has flatlined. Seraphine is forced to use a defibrillator, And Andy calmly tells her that he's gone and to let it go, which is wild.
Wow. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
She says that if he dies, they have no hope for a cure. Which honestly,
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's my dad. Wake up. Fix this.
but also his cure.
Yeah.
You already didn't have a chance.
Yeah. But she says that Claude and his men killed Thierry and destroyed the lab. Andy actually, he basically says, well, let me take a crack at it.
Oh no.
Dude, I don't trust you to find your ass from your elbow, let alone cure lycanthropy.
This almost made me so angry I wanted to pause it on his face and then punch the TV. I was like, dude, are you really want me to believe that you can decipher all this shit that's going on here and come up with a cure on your own?
You know what I thought was going to happen? His little diagram that he drew of his jump, I thought it was going to be like, well,
Oh, okay.
Andy, he's always been a scientist.
Yeah,
Or,
no,
you know.
that would have made that entire thing worth anything, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
That's your mistake for thinking that was going to pan out.
I'm sorry, everyone.
I do admire his confidence, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, I couldn't fuck it up any worse." But
He will blow up the basement.
Yeah.
Seraphine was home.
Yeah.
You have super strength. Were you just standing there and watching them do all this?
And we've learned that she doesn't even need to be a werewolf to have that super
No.
strength.
Yeah.
She can just be her normal self.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Andy asks if her stepfather left any notes, and she directs him to a chalkboard which contains a very detailed graph and chart. She explains that it demonstrates the werewolf's biorhythm and how it's controlled by the cycles of the moon. Every werewolf has a transformation threshold, which is what Thierry was trying to keep Seraphine under by injecting her with a depressant. But it had the reverse effect.
It was a present.
It's a but Andy sums it up. With this drug, you can induce a transformation during any time of the month. And conveniently, Seraphine remembers that Thierry left samples of this drug in the cupboard. But when Andy goes to retrieve them, he finds the cupboard empty and a flyer for an Independence Day party at Church St. Deleu, and the invite is for Americans only.
Okay, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They're having the fact that they left this for them, like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
And they're throwing another party while all of this is still going on.
Yeah, dude.
It's really funny. And as I said, the first party the night that Andy got bit, that was on my birthday. That's
Yeah.
June 20th. It is July 4th. So Andy has been a werewolf for 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah, I didn't even
And it
notice
feels like
that.
it's been 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until your sister said something and I was like, oh shit.
I don't get that at all.
No.
It's so funny. That's hilarious.
When did this time pass?
I don't know.
I do not know. And he was only that would have been perfect for time to have passed whenever he woke up in the bed.
Yeah.
She said it had been a few hours.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It just made me laugh that it was like Americans. Oh,
Yeah.
it's like, dude.
That's not suspicious at all. But we cut to the dilapidated church, which is now filled with American partygoers and lit with torches. Andy and Seraphine wait outside, Seraphine giving Andy a good luck kiss before they try to sneak in. The bouncer immediately recognizes him. He just pops in. He's like, hello, or whatever. Like, he signals to Claude. So great job, Andy.
Yeah.
But Leduc suddenly shows up, asking the bouncer who gave them a permit for this party. The bouncer tells him to ask the boss inside and lets Leduc in with 3 other detectives. Outside, Seraphine climbs the structure of the church, making it onto the roof. But back inside, Andy unplugs the stereo and climbs onto an altar to the chagrin of the other partygoers. He tells everyone that it's a trap and they need to leave now. Leduc is like, arrest that man! From the roof, Seraphine watches the bouncer block the front door with a construction loader, while Andy gets pelted by drinks and debris inside.
Now, wouldn't you, if we went somewhere, we're not in our backyard, we don't know what's going on, and it's like, only Americans, and we're like, okay, let's go check it out. This dude's up
Yeah.
on something and he's like, hey, look, this is dangerous. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Even if people are like, get out of here, fucker. No. He's saying something.
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
They're like, turn Jane's addiction back on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Dun, 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 dun. Get this guy out of here.
But the detectives point their guns at him, and he surrenders to the applause of the crowd.
Come on.
Yeah. They treated him like Alex Browning, dude.
He did.
Just don't understand.
I don't get it. But suddenly, men in druid robes ascend the altar, snuffing out the torches, and Claude takes his place in front, removing his hood. When the doors won't open for the detectives, Claude welcomes all the Americans to his independence party, and they all cheer.
When I saw them, I'd be like, that dude is fucking telling the truth.
Oh,
We should
we're about to be sacrificed.
Oh, yeah.
we should have listened when we had the chance.
But he once again says that he loves Americans, and he commends them for influencing the culture and touching the hearts of millions. His robed cohorts pull out syringes and inject themselves with Thierry's serum.
They're not even hiding it.
No.
Yeah.
And how do they know what the serum does? Could they read all the equations and put it together themselves?
I don't know, because why would Seraphine tell them?
Yeah.
No, she knew what it did, but her and Andy, her and Andy just put it together themselves what they could have used it for.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, but then, were they like, no.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, I think we need to better understand Claude and Seraphine's relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who they even are to each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would help out a lot.
See, that's why earlier when I figured that the bouncer wouldn't mess with Seraphine because
Right.
it was a hierarchy thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe because before, if he's part of Claude's group and Claude stole her blood or whatever happened between them, he's like, no, because whatever. She's like, look, dude, I've been a werewolf longer. I'll fuck you up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it does seem like they don't give a shit. Like there is no hierarchy here. There's no...
I don't know. I feel we might be putting more thought into it.
I think we definitely are.
But Claude then dedicates the party to all the Americans whose hearts he wishes to touch in return. He says, it makes me laugh that they cheer and they don't see the darkness in what he's saying.
Yeah. At all.
They're like, wow, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
We're Americans.
He wants to touch our hearts. But he says to let the show begin, and he pulls a piece of cloth that removes a curtain, revealing Chris tied to a crucifix.
Were you all surprised that he was still alive? Because I
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, I guess he amounts to a little bit in the finale, but...
Yes. Yeah.
But Andy sees this and snatches one of the guns from the detectives and fires it at Claude, but is immediately disarmed by one of the detectives. It means nothing. But Leduc attempts to end the party, telling them that they are all under arrest and to go home. A detective cuffs himself to one of Claude's men as Claude stands behind a podium injecting himself with the serum. Leduc doesn't see this, but after Claude's finished, Leduc points the gun at Claude and motions for him to step down. Outside, the bouncer feels debris from above landing on top of him, and when he looks up, Seraphine sends a large stone gargoyle down to crush him. Back inside, the druids begin their transformation, tearing through their robes in a somewhat decent display of makeup before giving way to a CG mess,
Yeah.
attacking the partygoers who are clearly not part of the same environment.
You just had to put that in there.
Leduc calls for reinforcements but is knocked down by an escaping Claude. When he reaches his feet, he follows Claude down into the dungeon. Chris is able to rock himself back and forth, snapping the cross at the base and toppling over. But it is a frenzy here. Detectives firing guns, partygoers running for their lives, poorly rendered werewolves feeding.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
You can't just say werewolf.
This is I'm trying to make my script as accurate as I can.
Trying to bring a mental picture.
Seraphine commandeers the construction truck, bursting through the door and driving it inside, giving the partygoers an exit just as the police chief and reinforcements arrive. Chris runs out, dragging the cross behind him, and a detective crosses himself. Inside, Andy grabs a gun, firing at the werewolves as they head down below. He's able to kill one of the werewolves, which just so happens to be the one that mauled Brad, and Brad appears and then disintegrates like the end of Endgame.
He did.
It's like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
But he thanks Andy for killing the wolf who killed him and wishes them luck.
He literally says, good luck, you guys.
Yeah.
I fucking laughed out loud.
He's like, I'm going to heaven, dude.
I laughed out
This
loud.
isn't my business anymore. But the detectives attempt to prove that Leduc's theory was correct, but the werewolves transform back into their human form upon dying, so the chief still assumes that it's just drugs causing all of this.
That tracks.
Yeah. But when she spots Andy and Seraphine in the distance, she urges her men to stop them. Andy and Seraphine head into the dungeon, splitting up for absolutely no reason.
Yep.
I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Is this 2 weeks in a row that we've had people in tunnels at the climax of a film just fucking split up to split up?
Yeah. The chief and several officers head downstairs to search as well. Leduc is also down there, making his way through dark tunnels with his flashlight. He retreats when he hears growling, and as he's pursued by a werewolf, he backs up into the hole in the floor that Andy and Seraphine jumped into earlier, crash landing into the water. The chief stops with an officer when her flashlight stops working, and as she knocks it against her hand, a werewolf from a PlayStation 2 game skulks in the shadows. The chief, when she finally gets it to work, it pounces on her, mauling her. Seraphine stumbles upon this murder, lining up the shot with her pistol that I didn't know she had.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're right.
As blood drips from the wolf's mouth. But when she fires, the gun clicks. She runs off in search of Andy, but finds another dead lycanthrope who just so happens to have a dose of Thierry's serum on him.
Wow.
He brought 2.
Yeah.
They're small.
You need to back.
Seraphine injects herself, reusing a needle, not good, and immediately begins to transform.
Guaranteed to jack you up.
He said it was like the faculty.
Yeah, I had to.
Seraphine tussles with this wolf, and I have no idea how to describe this because they clearly only created one werewolf model that they doubled, so I have no idea who's kicking whose ass.
Yeah.
It's like when Bender was fighting Goldbender.
Yes.
But I was like, a werewolf on werewolf showdown should have made my entire day.
Yeah.
This is a mess.
It's upsetting. But one wolf chews the other wolf's throat out. And Andy arrives on the scene, firing at the winner and shooting them a few times.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, because Seraphine's walking away, even as a wolf.
Yeah.
And he's still shooting.
Yeah.
It's clear.
You don't know.
Yeah. You don't know.
God.
You haven't seen any of them act like that.
No.
Maybe hold on.
It wasn't attacking you.
Yeah, even a warning shot. And then, oh, hold on. Wait, why are you getting away from me?
And you know all the werewolves, all the like bad racist werewolves are all on the same team.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be fighting like
Yeah,
this.
no,
Fucking
yeah.
So
idiot.
it's not like I'm going to kill whoever wins.
Yeah.
You have to know. Oh. But as this wolf stumbles off wounded, the dead wolf on the ground transforms back into some bald guy that I thought was Claude, but isn't, and I guess I'll tell you why later. Andy rounds the corner to find Seraphine naked and bleeding. He covers her in a coat, telling her that he'll get her out of here, but she doesn't think that she'll make it. She takes a switchblade from his belt that I had no idea was there.
No.
Yeah.
Has never been used or referenced at all. But
She knew where to get it.
Yeah.
she hands it to him, telling him to eat her heart and let himself go. I don't know how she knows that.
Yeah.
Unless maybe her mother was like, well, you know, until you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
stuck here, scaring the shit out of people.
Well, she did get
Yeah.
the pamphlet.
She did. And I will say as well that this is very odd for Seraphine to assume such things.
Right.
When she doesn't have any proof of any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe after her parents, she just assumes. I mean, I don't know. That's the only thing I think of, because
Yeah.
there's no reason for her to feel that way.
Yeah.
No.
It was a party full of them. If you'll recall.
Yeah.
Could have been any of them.
Really could
Could have
have.
been anyone.
But Andy says that he'd rather kill himself.
Really?
Yeah. That was a lot.
Seraphine, well, wait a minute, dude, this doesn't make any sense really because, he got bit and he healed up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Give her like 5 minutes and like
That's so true.
some saltines or whatever.
Yeah. Little Sprite.
Yeah, she'll be fine. But Seraphine says to do it for the both of them and they'll finally be free. The police stumble upon Andy holding the knife above Seraphine and they fire at him. It was like the scene from The Omen.
Yes, it was.
But he puts the knife down, telling Seraphine to let them help her. They rush toward him as he promises Seraphine everything will be okay before running off.
He walked away.
Well,
There was
I don't know how they let him get away.
Yeah. It was like, he's right there.
Yeah. The man you've suspected this entire film.
Yeah.
But the police tend to Seraphine as Andy escapes. He finds a hole in the wall, lighting a match to see how deep it is, but he burns his hand on the match and falls back down some kind of super fun happy slide.
Are you fucking for real, dude?
Right onto the subway tracks. So he's a werewolf, but that little bit of warmth, he's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. It's so weird.
It took him out.
Yeah.
But somehow, some undisclosed werewolf follows after him. I don't know who this is yet. But a train speeds down the tracks, and Andy is able to get out of the way of it just in time, but the werewolf isn't quite as lucky. The train stops, and the metro driver, played by Anthony Waller, the director of the film, peers out and asks who he hit, which is really weird. He goes, who'd I hit?
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
But he returns to the cab, only for the werewolf to crash through the front window. In a very brightly lit subway car. Massive mistake on behalf of the production.
Yeah.
This werewolf stalks the passengers, mauling one of them before collapsing to the ground. It's Claude. The werewolf is Claude.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He wakes up to inject himself again, but Andy crashes through a window, kicking the syringe from his hand and beating the shit out of him.
How did Andy crash in through a window?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was also funny to me that he was like, well, let's get back to it. He's just going to inject himself
Like
again.
round two. But Seraphine, meanwhile, is taken to the hospital in an ambulance. But during the fight on the subway, Andy notices a scar on Claude's shoulder, where the wolf who bit him was pierced by the sharp spike of the gate.
Okay.
They then fight over the syringe, Andy forced to the ground and accidentally injecting himself with it. Claude runs away as Andy immediately transforms, and the passengers watch as Claude is torn apart. Andy devours Claude's heart, and his howl echoes through the surrounding tunnels.
So he broke the curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the ambulance, Seraphine feels this happening, I think.
Yeah. I don't know.
She tells Andy that he's amazing and that she loves him. She mutters, "Je t'aime." I do want to just point out on the side, Julie Delpy has a great song called Je t'aime autant. It is one of the closing songs of Before Sunset. It's beautiful.
Of course it is.
It comes after a song by Nina Simone, which is also brilliant. We should
Love
be watching
Nina
that.
Simone. We should be watching that. We saw a deleted scene where her stepfather appears to her like in a vision
Yeah.
in the ambulance, and he's
Really?
like, Seraphine, I have the answer. And he's got like a bunch of papers.
Yeah.
And he's telling her that he figured it out how to.
In the Beyond, or like while he's a ghost, he fixed
He's
it?
a ghost.
Yeah.
He appear like his spirit appears to her, and he's like, I figured it out.
Oh, wow.
And so we were
Yeah.
like, probably good. Say that.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
So that wasn't in there.
But I don't understand. So is this to say, obviously, I guess Claude was also the one that turned her. So does she feel, because he's dead, that she's no longer a wolf anymore either?
I don't
I don't know.
Because how else does she know? And she's like, oh, you did it, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And what happens to Amy?
Oh, she's just forced to roam the...
Because he's not a werewolf anymore.
Yeah, so
Oh,
So does he
yeah.
have to die a natural human death and then she's free?
they don't talk about Amy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just gone.
You never
Yeah.
see her again.
No, we're more worried about this closing scene.
Yeah, go on.
But Bruno, an EMT played by Christian Menyoni, assumes that she's talking to him, telling her that his name is actually Bruno, but he's easy.
Okay.
I apologize. I always try to be so nice even to the films I don't like. But I can't believe I wrote this note after I said I just wrote, I don't give a fuck. As in my script. I can't believe I wrote that.
You're Richard Jenkins from several.
Yes.
I'm not making myself clear. I don't give a fuck.
But we then get a title card reading several full moons later. Andy and Seraphine stand inside bright light, dressed in wedding attire, and he asks her if she wants to go through with this. He asks if she's scared, and she says that she is a little bit. Chris crashes through a door, telling them that someone is coming, so they better go through with it. Andy asks Chris for the ring, and he searches for it frantically, accidentally dropping it and sending it rolling across the ground. As it rolls out of the room and they chase after it, it tumbles off the edge of a very high structure. Andy and Seraphine jump after it, and we realize that they are bungee jumping off of the Statue of Liberty.
I don't think they're allowed to be up there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's very illegal. I will say I understand the symbolism because it was a gift from France.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's cute or whatever, but it's like, it's the middle of the day.
Yeah.
that's true. At least they waited.
I'm just saying.
But Andy catches the ring midair and places it on Seraphine's finger, the two of them embracing. Back up top, Chris realizes that one of their lines isn't secured, so he dives desperately to grab it, but it's too late and it sails off the edge. Thankfully, Andy and Seraphine hold on to each other tightly as they bounce back, and that's it.
Wow.
All right.
We fade to black, and the credits roll.
Like, are you crying?
Well, it was beautiful.
Fade to black.
It ended with a wedding. I don't understand.
Oh, there you go.
I always cry at weddings.
So, what did you guys think of An American Werewolf in Paris?
So I know this was my birthday movie, and I did want to go the other way, so I will apologize because this movie was a little worse than what I thought. But I did warn you guys that it was bad.
Kind of.
I do feel like that again, this movie, it was weird that it had such a strong first movie and then it turned into this.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand there was meddling and there was whatever, but it's I don't mean to sound mean and be like, oh, this movie isn't talked enough, because I mean we can see why. But again, I do feel like this is one of those movies that it is that bad to where watch it.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to get the time back, and I do apologize, but watch it. This has to be witnessed. Like, there's times when you do pause the movie and it's like, what the fuck? And it's not like a, that's crazy. It's like a,
no.
huh?
Yeah.
Like, you're genuinely confused at what the fuck's going on. But this movie's just bad.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know how many balls were dropped or how many what are.
All of them.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. We had fun, though, right?
Yes.
We absolutely
there
did.
you go.
Yes, that was fun today.
Yeah.
It was fun today, yes. I'll start by saying happy birthday to the love of my life, and
Thank
I forgive you for putting us through this. No, I really do respect and admire that you went the other way with it, because it's usually an agonized, like, I love so many movies, which one do I pick? And you really were like, nah, let's
get it out of
yeah. Fuck me up, fam. But no, this was absolutely wild. And I really went into it thinking, yeah, whatever. People say that this movie's bad, that movie's bad. I usually can find something in it. Yeah, I didn't like this part, but this part was funny, or this part was actually scary, or this part, whatever. I mean, there were a couple jokes that did land.
Yeah.
But it's too much comedy. It's too. I mean, it baffles the mind. I just can't. I can't believe that this is what was served to us. And I did see an alternate ending where a baby is born.
Really?
It's the same several full moons later or whatever. and she's having a baby. And the baby's born, and he's holding the baby, and then it opens its eyes, and it's werewolf eyes. So, in the middle of the day. So, I don't know.
Wait, so here's my question: is that so? Then who
was
made...
still a werewolf?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I do not know. And then it should have been like the doctor turns around and it's Amy. She's like, I'm still wandering around. That's another thing we never got.
I was thinking with the werewolf
Closure.
eyes, the doctor should have turned around and it was Vincent Price. It was like,
Should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes about as much sense as them bungee jumping without securing the shit off the,
twice.
It's
Yeah.
twice now. Again, that's why at the beginning I was like, good thing he learned that lesson, right? No, he didn't.
No, not at all.
It is astounding. Like we always say, we don't like bashing anything.
Yeah.
And I hope that we didn't bash this. I hope that we were really just illustrating our opinions.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, these are our opinions. I can say wholeheartedly, this did not work for me.
Yeah.
I did not like this movie. And it's made even worse by the fact of how much I really did love the first one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think I'm done. My mind is blown.
Yeah, I agree. I want to piggyback on what you had said, and I just want to say every film that's ever been made is kind of a miracle.
Mhm.
That's true.
There's a lot that goes into every film. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, a lot of people in front of the camera. It takes a lot to make a film.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Much like Nate said, I never want to bash a film.
Right.
And I looked very hard for things that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
John Paul, he said that too the other day.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself like actually irritated by it
Yeah.
watching it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, but again, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
If you watch this film and give it a 10,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
And I love that
No,
for you.
yeah.
yeah. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
There will be films that I love more than anything in the world, and you would give them a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's perfectly fine.
Hey, like I said, I found that guy's video. He was like, look, I'm going to try to defend the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did. He tried. I mean,
I respect his passion
yeah.
and his attempt.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think, and this is 2 films in a row that we did not enjoy.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
So I'm trying my best to
I was like, what pocket have we hit right now?
I don't know. I just am joining you both in reminding everyone that we try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We look, and there are a couple things, like you had said, there are a couple jokes that hit.
Yeah.
There are some shots that are okay, like the opening. I didn't mind that.
There are
Yeah.
shots that are okay.
Yeah.
I will
Wow.
say that the practical effects.
Yeah.
With the,
Yeah.
with the
Okay,
undead.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Julie Delpy,
Yeah.
she showed up.
Mhm.
She did.
So I mean, there's some stuff that's good there. My thing is, I just never, I never want to be, because you see it all the time. People that are like, "Oh, well, that sucked," and then that's the extent of the commentary.
Yeah.
I feel like we always try to explain why we don't like something,
Yeah.
and maybe even give suggestions as to how it could be improved.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critique.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
But yeah, for me, this movie really, really did nothing for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting because of how good London is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I went into it with a very open mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very hopeful that maybe, sometimes people, it's like a bandwagon
Right.
Yeah.
where it's like everybody says this sucks.
Oh, they didn't like it? I didn't like it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, you know what? It can't. I'm sure it's fine.
Mm-mm. Yeah. And see, when I had told y'all and y'all watched the first one, you were like, oh, this is great.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm going to wait a little bit
You-
before we go ahead and drop the other foot.
No, you
'Cause-
you genuinely were like, yeah, this one. Like,
Yeah.
you did
No, yeah.
keep saying that.
You did.
And I even too before, and you're right, I was just saying, no, we're gonna do this. This is what I want to pick. But then watching it, and I told your sister, I was like, man, this is worse than I remember. I was like, this movie's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I was even, like I said, I was a young teen when I watched it the first time, and I was like, none of this stuff. I was like, and you would think a young teenage boy would be like, yeah, 6 points or whatever. I was just like, these guys are fucking stupid.
Especially a young teenage you.
Yeah,
like
me?
this
Oh, no,
seems
yeah.
like, but it misses.
No, yeah.
And I think what really surprises me is that for me, it never crosses into so bad it's good.
No.
It's not bad enough to be that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's bad in a weird way.
Like for me, House of Wax, the remake.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and I know that was objectively not good.
I will have fun watching that movie and actively hating it.
Yeah, I had so much fun watching that. This was not fun.
Yeah. I heard at the end of a Joe Blow video that I was watching, he had reviewed this movie. He said that this is the perfect movie to put on with your friends, have beverages of your choice, and roast it the whole time. I feel like, yeah, that would be fun, but I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably get angry some
Don't
way
fucking
through.
call me
and
again.
then I was like, did you really invite me over to watch this shit?
You chose
Yeah,
this?
right.
Yeah, whoever chooses this movie is really kind of wild,
Yeah.
right?
Why would anyone do that?
Hey,
for their birthday, no less.
Hey, but this is us dipping into it.
True.
It's
For sure.
different if it was like, hey, you guys come hang out. We're going to throw some stuff on the grill, and then we're going to watch American Werewolf in Paris.
What?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Well.
busy. Yeah.
Well, I guess that can lead us into rating.
Yeah.
This is a very tough one to rate because I really did try to find things that I enjoyed. I like some of the European locations. I like Julie Delpy. I think that with a lot of tweaks, the story could actually work.
Yeah.
I just think the most egregious thing to me is what they did with the transformations. When London is so known for this,
Yeah.
you know, when I will watch that movie to get to that part
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the time, and it's great and it still holds up. This, I heard it didn't even look proper in 97,
No.
which is really upsetting. And you see them in the featurette and they're working their asses off on this
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, what happened?
Yeah. No.
I mean, legitimately, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, you could, like you're saying, really, you could have done some practical effects, you know, in certain points, and then use the CG when you really had to, but...
And with $25 million,
Yeah.
I am just very, very confused. I will say, if I want to watch a movie of Julie Delpy walking around Paris and falling in love with an American tourist, I'll just watch Before Sunset. Just for the record, it's a great film. Everybody should watch it.
It's on record.
Yes. Now watch Before Sunrise first.
Okay.
And do a double feature. Before Midnight is a little different. It's got a different tone.
All right.
It's a trilogy.
Okay. Can we talk about An American Werewolf in Paris just a little bit more?
Do we have to?
Just this last bit.
All right. So here's the thing, is that there are a couple of things that I appreciate.
Here's the thing. There are a couple things.
But for the most part, this isn't even one that I would see myself revisiting. For me, there's no rewatch value. There's nothing in me that's like, oh, well, at least that part with blank is worth watching all the rest.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
because there's plenty of movies that I don't really care for, but it's like, okay, well, that one kill is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll, work your way through it to get to that. This, not so much. I would watch it with you guys if we all decided to watch it together.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And I don't see us doing that.
No.
Probably not.
We've said a lot here today. I don't think I need to say that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I got some before movies to watch. So. Out of 10 technologically aided transformations, I am going to give An American Werewolf in Paris 2 technologically aided transformations out of 10. I think that might be the lowest score I've ever given on this show.
Okay.
I think it might be as well.
Yeah.
But I feel fine. But I will open the floor to you.
I totally agree with you on the rewatch thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm a sucker for pain. So I'll wait some time and then I'll watch it again, but a long time.
Right.
So maybe another 20 years. Then I'll check it out again, and then it'll be like, all right,
Just 20?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you gotta remind yourself
Mm-hmm.
after so long. Oh no, this movie does exist. Oh, okay.
You're
So-
not wrong.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had watched it before we covered it for the show?
Oh God.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
To the day.
Yeah. I think the last, because we had watched this a few times, but it was again to like, oh, look at this fucking shit. You know what I mean? And the only thing that we watched it for was to get to when Bush comes on.
Right.
And then after that, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Whatever happens after this, I don't give a fuck.
We don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. But yeah, I was a teenager, and I'll be 39 this month. So I mean, it'll wait a while. Like I can wait. Like I said, 20 more years.
You got it.
Then I'll watch it again, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay. It's almost like to remind you that movies can get worse. You know what I mean? They can, and it's like, all right. But no, I'm kind of with you. I agree. There is a few good things in the movie, but I don't feel like the movie is strong enough on its own with those small things in it to make the entire movie palatable.
Yeah.
Like I will be fine if I don't watch this next week, next month, next year, 5 years, 10 years. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, there will be probably a certain period of time. I was like, I'll watch it alone. I know. I know you don't give a shit. Yeah, I was like, I know you don't.
No.
But all that to say that I think I'm going to go with you. So for me, on a scale, because I had it a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we sat here and talked about it, I was like, no, yeah, that doesn't make sense. No, yeah, that does. It's like, what the fuck? But even watching it, you do get a sense of what's happening on the screen.
Yes.
But when you do take that step back and then you're still talking about it, and it's like, oh, that's still, and then like you said earlier, babe, listening to you say certain things that happened in the movie,
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, that sounds, oh, that did happen in the movie though.
It did.
Yeah, it's like, no, you did bring that to life. I was like, what the fuck?
You guys had to stop me.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like, wait a minute.
this
Yeah,
sounds,
it's like that.
for anybody who hasn't seen it, I promise that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened.
No, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, technologically aided transformations,
You got it.
I'm also going to give an American Werewolf in Paris a 2.
Wow.
I honestly was going to give it a 3.5, a 4, but I was like, that just seems
Ooh.
too high. I was like, there's no way. I have to bring it down some. But the more we did talk about it, I was like, oh no, this movie, there isn't enough in there for me to be like, no, but that one thing.
Yes.
It's like, no, that one thing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, I mean, think about it. If the movie was exactly the same, but it had a transformation on the level of an American Werewolf in London,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would
That's-
rewatch.
For
There-
that.
Yeah.
There's something for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I flat out completely agree with both of you. I just one more interesting fact that it doesn't really fit in anywhere. I just found it interesting, but this came out Christmas Day 1997 alongside Jackie Brown.
No shit.
Oh, this was never going to win.
Oh no.
This was never gonna win.
One of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
And then the lowest rated
Yeah, that was your
one
mistake.
that we've ever
Yeah.
covered. But I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, I was cleaning yesterday. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is coming back. I had it on the TV, recapping. And I was like, I should turn this off and put on American Werewolf in Paris because we're recording tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I turned off my show and just looked at the Roku screen and I was like, I don't want to fucking watch I don't want to watch this again. So I didn't. I put Salt Lake City back on.
I want to pull the curtain back on Podmortem a little bit because whenever I write my script, I finish it and then I rewatch the movie with my script
Okay.
to follow and make sure everything's pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not do that this time.
Yeah. I was like, I literally don't want to, I don't want to do it.
We'll watch Jackie Brown instead.
But watch Jackie Brown. That is your Christmas 1997 film. Not
That's
this.
fantastic. Yeah.
But yeah, again, if you loved this, and I can see maybe if you watched it when you were younger, or even like if you have a particular taste, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, love it out loud. I love that for you.
Yeah.
I can just say again, this is not, I guess, for any of us.
Yeah, for any of us.
It didn't work for any of us. I feel like a lot of, like you were saying, T, a lot of work went into it. I think it just it's a miss. It's a complete miss for me. And that really sucks because like we talked about it, we did London so long ago, but John Paul had tried to get me to watch that movie for years, and I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm the big one, but you know.
Did you call him Bats or something?
We finally watched it for the show, and I was like, that was fucking phenomenal. That was incredible. That transformation sequence, I will remember forever. If I never see that movie again, I will remember that sequence. So yeah, it just hurts all the more.
You want me to blow your mind a little bit? An American Werewolf in London was episode 9 of Pod Mortem.
What the fuck?
See, I let you guys breathe for a little bit before we brought this
Yes.
in.
172 episodes.
Yeah. You had more than enough time to prepare.
Yeah,
You did.
We
You
did.
We did, yeah.
And we didn't.
But we still weren't ready. But I mean, I think that we've said it all. I just want to give one more happy birthday to John Paul.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's on the 13th. I can't remember what day this comes out because my brain is fried and on Paris time. I'm in with y'all, honestly. I came to the table with the 2.5, but again, there's something I don't normally feel that way because like when you're leading and you're talking, I can kind of see it all in my head because I watched it. I'm listening to you speak and I can see it, but I'm like, this sounds
Yeah.
this sounds unbelievable. And then he's nodding off. And then I was like,
That's exactly what happened.
What is this scene? So yeah, I am gonna knock it a little bit. And I'm probably at least half of one of these points is for Bush.
Yeah.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, technologically aided transformations,
That's it.
I'm right with y'all, and I'm going to give An American Werewolf in Paris 2 out of 10 technologically aided transformations, and that's all I got.
I think that's all we all got.
Yeah.
Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate An American Werewolf in Paris, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at JuggaloDaddy84. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at RealStreeter84. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, true love isn't just a phase. It can actually be quite transformative. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo! Yeah!
Very good. A special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Thomas, Travis and Nisa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rizak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Berry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, William Berry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Jordan Blevins, Liz Heath, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Leisha Olivier, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun,
Mandy M, Scott Troutman Wise, Mozzie Bear, Brittany G, Dave Burke, Adrian Stakes, Nick Spill, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G, Emiliana, Brian Glass, CB, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Cookie, Esperanza J, Jason Kyle OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Brandon, Nicholas Carter, Sawyer Reese Farr, Dr. Diva Loves Horror, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Higuera, William and Xxena Rush, Ryan Brom, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter, Natalie De Guzman, Eileen O, Marissa E, Sydney, Henry F, Megan M, Strangely Sarah, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Jason Hanovan, Emel Tafoya, Abigail Spitzer, Katie K, Erica Morin,
Cameron S, Nicole Stewart, Tris Wynn, K.87, Mariah Jensen, Carrie A, Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E, Maggie H, Fernando Dominguez, Murder Stina, No Thanks Tom Hanks, Kevin McGonigal, Kristen Marcy, Ori81 Boricua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, Montez Shamwow, Felnez63, Alita Pui, Probably My Jugs, Kate Thackeray, Wade Pack, Charlie V, A Lizard, Bryant Watson, Luke Ashley, Jay Rich, Jen Lassiter, Topher Williams, Elena Metler, Nell Chesson, Valerie K, Kim Sterling, Christy Lee Kruger, Professor of Humanities Laura McCarricker, Naomi, Josh Smith, Autumn Green, Jess L, Eatsell, Heather Santiano, Abby Kopp, Crystal 831, Cassidy Carruthers, Skank Sinatra, and Morgan Alexander.
Hey!
What a list.
Thank y'all so much.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate all of you so much. We can't thank you enough, and we hope you all know that we'll love you forever.
No,
Yeah,
that was
all
really
right,
good.
all right.
Like a werewolf.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great job. And happy birthday, John
Yeah,
Paul.
Yeah,
thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Until next time.